best.
Most of all, we thank President Trump for the guts and the love of this country to do the right thing. So I want to thank him for his leadership, for the fact that he told the American people what we needed.
Yep.
He said we needed a wall, and we have a wall,
No, we don't.
big, beautiful wall.
Exactly. So there you go, 877-301-8970. I guess it's sort of a game. Who do you think will be next and who should be next? And by the way, it's clear the two people who should be next are Kennedy and Hegseth, but I think Kennedy and Hegseth, he's probably in love with both these guys, don't you think?
Well, he likes people that look the part, and he thinks that they both look the part, particularly, I guess you could say Hegseth. But you know what's the real dilemma here? Who is going to become the Attorney General? Because he basically wants you to indict all these people that have committed no crimes. I mean, he's mad at her because she wasn't able to indict people. Well, she did indict people, but then the grand juries said there's no here.
No, she attempted to indict people, and grand juries wouldn't go along.
That's right. They wouldn't hold up the. I mean, remember she was going after Mark Kelly and the other veterans who the president said at one point should be hung because they dared to say that military men and women should not follow illegal orders.
Which is what the law is.
And
by the way, they attempted, Comey and Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York State, failed to get indictments, I think multiple times in the case of James, if I'm right. In any case, we'll include you in the conversation. 877-301-8970 is the number to call or text.
Chris is from Narragansett, Rhode Island, where the Housewives of Rhode Island has just debuted.
How are you, Chris? Welcome.
Do you know any of the housewives down there that are on TV now?
Well, I don't know about the housewives.
Okay.
I know that Narragansett is the surfing capital of the East.
That's right.
That's excellent.
We have that to claim. So,
I won't be
so
doing
listen,
that.
I'm all in favor of joining the pity party for Chrissy Noem and Pam Bondi, but I don't really have an ex-favorite because it seems to me that the people that Trump replaced are, if no better, they're certainly worse than what has left. So I think the person who should be assigned to the next vacancy should bear in mind that they might be doing some jail time at the time when we have an impeachment proceeding or a reconciliation.
Chris, I'm so glad you said that, because the point I was trying to make to Chuck Todd yesterday, which I didn't articulate very well, is that there's never a happy ending for people who align themselves with Trump. And the question is, do they just delude themselves into thinking that they're going to be different and to be next to the most powerful person in the world, even if he is certifiable in every way? I mean, what kind of mind process do they go through to submit themselves to this? And you're right, and they might end up being indicted, and the next president is probably not going to pardon them. Chris, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. 877-301-8970.
Jean Pirro, another Fox News star, she's been mentioned as a possible Attorney General replacement.
Jeanine Pirro?
Yes.
Yeah. She's the U.S. Attorney for D.C. now, right?
And she was all down with going after Mark Kelly and those other veterans, too. She thought that was fine as well.
You know what's incredible? We're about to have the former editor of the New York Times here. Reading the New York Times story during our show yesterday, before Bondi was actually canned, right after our show, it was stated, just as a matter of fact, that, as you said a minute ago, that one of the reasons the President of the United States is getting rid of Bondi, if he does, which he did, is because she has failed at prosecuting his political enemies. And they just said as fact.
Yeah, he wanted criminal indictments of people that have not committed crimes. That's what he wanted. And because, thank God, the grand juries and the other people in the judicial system wouldn't go along with this, thank goodness, they weren't held up for criminal charges.
Well, an extension of that, we were talking about, you and I, before the show.
He wants to go after Jerome Powell because he won't lower interest rates.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
That's not a crime.
Last night, Todd Blanche, who is now the acting Attorney General, and I'm sure you'll recall he was one of the criminal defense lawyers for Trump, was bragging at the Conservative Political Action Caucus thing, or whatever the hell it's called, last week, bragging that Kash Patel has fired every single FBI agent who had anything to do with the investigation of the crimes of Donald Trump, and the Justice Department has fired every single lawyer who had anything to do with the criminal investigation of Donald Trump. Just
well, that's another one of the problems is there's massive incompetence. So that some of these prosecutors like that. What was her name? Halliday, whatever. She was another gorgeous-looking woman in high heels that went in to try to prosecute.
She was the U.S. attorney for New Jersey for
about
like
5
minutes.
Yeah, and she was reprimanded by the judge for her incompetence. And by the way, Todd Blanche, we can all remember, he's the guy that went down to interview Giselle Maxwell, who was the girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell, however you say it, the girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein. And we presume he has something to do with this person that has been criminally convicted of these horrible sex crimes and was doing hard time to get her into a low security prison where she would get special privileges. I think Todd Blanche had something to do with that. So he could be the Attorney General too.
Chris in the car, welcome to the show. Hi.
Hey, you can't swing a dead cat around here without hitting another Chris.
Beautifully put, Chris.
I've been listening to you guys since the WTKK days.
Oh, thank you.
I have to say, I would be jubilant about the ouster of absolutely anybody on this cabinet if I had one shred of confidence that he would hire anybody competent to replace them. But you know that he's not going to. He's going to hire somebody who will lick his boots and do his bidding or God knows what. And, you know, everybody talks about the 25th Amendment, but the 25th Amendment rests in the hands of the cabinet, and we're cooked.
And the vice president. 25th Amendment is the thing that was being talked about, which none of us even knew about. The provision of the 25th Amendment that allows for the removal of a president of the United States. Is it a majority of the cabinet and the vice president,
I think,
have to do it?
I'm not sure. Chris, a lot of people that are texting have the exact same opinion as you. Here's Andy from Boston. None of the deck chairs changes matters as long as Donald Trump is in charge. He'll appoint replacements who are even more willing to break the law on his behalf. And that's what he actually wants. He wants the chief law enforcement officer of the land to break the law on his behalf. You know,
do you subscribe to that? I don't. I think if there's turnover and there's chaos in the administration, it continues to alert the few open-minded people still in his camp that this is a place where you don't want to be, meaning you don't want to be supporting this that essentially when they read, and I know they won't read it, you say, but they're only watching Fox News, that the guy because the woman, Bondi, was dumped because she didn't protect him enough in the Epstein thing. She embarrassed him, and because she refuses to indict people who are unindictable because they happen to be people who have been critical of Donald Trump. I mean, I think that helps the cause, frankly.
Well, I think that helps the cause. I think the Epstein files helped the cause dramatically because she was attacked by both Democrats and Republicans when she was in those hearings. And that Thomas Massey guy has been after her endlessly, and he kind of, and that was the other thing.
He's a Republican congressman from Kentucky.
He has been very laser focused on the Epstein files, and he went after her. And she, I think the other thing that really hurt her is her inability to turn around and apologize to the victims who were in the hearing room that day for the DOJ botching of releasing the names of so many of these victims when they were told explicitly the names of the victims not to release, and they did it anyway. So women who didn't want this to come out had it all come out, and then it's all online. Everybody can see it, while they hid the names of the perpetrators. She couldn't. There was a lack of decency there.
Don't you think what also hurt us in our hearings is it was demonstrated conclusively that she is a total moron? Do you remember? I think it was Jamie Raskin, who the brilliant congressperson from Maryland, who was asking her a question, and because she can't answer the question, the Epstein files, she moves to something else. Here's a little bit of that. Bondi in February before the House Democrats. Here it is.
The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over $50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
This is while she's being questioned about the Epstein files. She starts, obviously, a script was provided to her by Miller or somebody, and she starts reading about the stock. You know, Trump's not talking about the stock market as much this week. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
I noticed that. Do you watch South Park?
I watch occasionally.
Apparently, they've done a real number on Pam Bondi. I have not.
Since the firing, you mean, the last 24 hours?
I don't know. Somebody just texted and said that we should be watching South Park to see what they're doing about Brown Noser Bondi.
Oh, I have seen that. I actually have seen that. That was a while. Yeah, I have. Derek in Windsor, you're next on the show. Welcome. Hi.
Jim, happy Easter to you and your guest. And your host, sorry.
It's good to have you, Derek. Welcome.
First thing, I ran if you play that Pam Bondi before my call. I'm going to spell Pam Bondi for you before I make my comment.
Mm-hmm.
Desgrace. That's how you spell Pam Bondi.
We agree.
All right. So the next guy I think should go, and unfortunately maybe not, because Trump just picked people that doing his bidding, but it's except whatever his name is, that guy that is in charge of the army. No humility, no experience, and I'm not against civilian leadership. That's not why I'm saying this, but this guy doesn't deserve the post that he's in. That's my comment.
Well, I have to say, he would probably be my next pick too, Derek, but you're right. I think he's doing exactly what Donald Trump wants. However, let me just say, the longer this goes and the deeper Trump gets in the quicksand around this with no out, maybe Hegseth ends up being the sacrificial lamb. We shall see. Thanks for the call, Derek.
You know, I mentioned to you my conversation earlier this morning with he'll go unnamed, but a Marine who fought in Fallujah, one of the worst battles of Iraq and Afghanistan, and 2 tours overseas. And he said a lot of his fellow Marine friends just refer to Pete Hegseth as the weekend warrior. Yeah. He did get commendations during his service over there, but they don't think very much of him. And I'm not surprised they don't think very much.
And why did he fire yesterday the head of the army?
He fired the head of the army because the gentleman
in the middle of a war,
in the middle of the war, that this guy that was well regarded by most everybody refused, got upset rather when Hegseth refused to promote these army men and women to become 1-star generals. Hegseth didn't like them, and one of them was a black guy and one of them was a woman. And Hegseth said he wasn't going to promote them, even though everybody said they deserved promotions. The guy that he just fired stood up for them, and that was the end of him.
By the way, if I may, before we go ahead, we're getting a bunch of people texting us who apparently weren't familiar with the contents of the 2018 letter from Penelope Hegseth to her son.
Oh.
So maybe I'll read just a bit. I've tried to keep quiet about your character and behavior, but after listening to the way you made Samantha, one of his wives, feel today, I cannot stay silent. As a woman and your mother, I feel I must speak out. You are an abuser of women. That is the ugly truth, and I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man, and have been for years, and as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that, but it is the sad, sad truth. And it goes on. It's worth reading. And again, as Marjorie said, she retracted it. I think it was during the confirmation hearings. Yeah,
to help him, I guess, get the job. One of our texters says, Bondi killed my Trump tournament bracket. I had her making it to the Final Four. And we forgot to mention Ludnick. You know, Ludnick is the guy who said that he lived next door to Jeffrey Epstein in Manhattan, and he and his wife went next door to Epstein's apartment.
With his kids.
Well, not with the kids. This was just he and the wife the first time. Then they went next door to the apartment.
An apartment,
they they toured the apartment, and Ludnick said he thought it was odd that Epstein had a massage table in the middle of the living room or the dining room or something like that, and said he got special massages many times a day. Ludnick was disgusted, said he was so disgusted he never talked to the guy again. And then it turns out a few years later, he and his wife and his children and his nanny went to Epstein's Island. I thought maybe he would have to resign for lying and being such a close associate as to go to the island, but that did not happen.
Well, actually, the experts, journalists who have written about this say that maybe for that, I don't know why, but Ludnick and the labor secretary are apparently at the top of the list. The best thing going for Ludnick is he happens to be a man. And so it makes it less likely that Trump will decide that he should be. You know what the other great thing was?
What?
You read the story. I assume people read the story. I think it was in the New York Times about when Trump finally told he in the car on the way to the Supreme Court on the birthright citizenship thing. He said to Bondi that he was thinking of dumping her, and then apparently he actually told her face to face, which Trump usually doesn't do, from what I understand, before he did his useless 9 p.m. Speech to the country the other night. She apparently pleaded with him for more time, and then she posts, I don't know if it's on Truth Social or on Instagram, whatever, how thrilled she was to be leaving and how thrilled she was to be going into the dreaded private sector.
Well, you know, he took better care of Noam because he got her kind of a made-up job in the government.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's kind of thrown Bondi completely under the bus going into the private sector. I mean, she'll get a job, but we should remember that way back when she was in Florida, when they first met each other, she was doing an investigation of Trump because Trump ran this bogus university. He so defrauded the students that he had to pay a $25 million fine. Remember that? And people thought that was okay too, I guess, who voted for him. But anyway, she was going to go after him on some issues down there in Florida, and then he made a big donation to her campaign, and she dropped the investigation. So I don't think she's shown a lot of moral courage.
You don't think so?
For quite some time.
Jan in the van, I guess. Jan in a van. Hi, Jan. How are you?
I am good. How are you guys?
We're well. Thank you for calling. You have a minute.
So I just wanted to, we're talking about why and I read a book by
Jan, I hate to do this to you since you've held on so long, but you have a horrible connection.
Hear you.
And we can't hear you.
Wait. Try. How about this?
Much
that's
better.
Much better.
Do it.
Okay.
Quickly.
I took it off speaker. Tim Miller, he was a Republican political communications guy for like Jeb Bush's campaign, and subsequently up to the Trump.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Real quick, Jan.
The book's called Why We Did It. It explains why so many of these people behave, how they do,
great.
why they do. And I think you guys, it would be great to have him on because now he writes for MSNBC, and anyway, the book came out in 2022.
We'll check it out. Why We Did
It, and who's the author again?
Why We Did It.
And who's
Why
the
We
author?
Did It. Tim Miller.
Oh, Tim Miller.
And by the way,
okay.
that's a companion
Isn't he
piece
with
to
the
If I
Bulwark?
Did It by O.J. Simpson, I believe. Hey, Jan, that's great. We'll check it out, and we'll try to get him. Thank you much for the call. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all your calls and texts. Sorry we ran out of time. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Jill Abramson, who used to run the New York Times, executive editor there. She joins us for our media analysis segment, Press Play. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Brady. This is BPR and GBH and NEPM live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
The weekend is coming with stories.
I always knew that I had a voice that could make a difference.
Gardening.
Prune for health and appearance, not to try and control size.
And DIY delights.
There are these companies, and they go viral because they'll spray something on the side of cedar, and it just brightens it up and makes it look beautiful. But it doesn't actually add to the durability.
That's how we do weekends on GBH 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Rogers Fish Company, founded by Roger Berkowitz. Their signature double clam chowder is available for purchase at all Market Basket locations. More at rogersfishcompany.com.
And White Flower Farm, a mail-order plant nursery in Connecticut, offering garden plants, growing supplies, and gifts for gardeners. More at whiteflowerfarm.com.
Welcome back to BPR and GBH and NEPM. Marjorie Egan and Jim Browdy live at the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. In about 20 minutes, Live Music Friday with former U.S. poet laureate Robert Pinsky and two of his very talented friends. It's time for our media analysis segment, Press Play. Today joining us on Zoom is the former executive editor of the New York Times, Jill Abramson. Jill leads the Burns Center for Social Change Initiative on Investigative Solutions Journalism at Northeastern University. I hope I got that right. And is a contributing opinion writer for the Boston Globe. Jill Abramson, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Great to see you, Jim and Marjorie.
Yes, thank you so much for being with us. So, Jill Abramson, you just wrote a great piece for the Globe talking about the war that Iran doesn't want you to see, and in some cases, the United States doesn't want you to see it either. So, tell us what you said.
You know, what I said is that the public is really ill-nourished with true news from Iran for a variety of reasons. One is the extreme, press censorship, I would call it, of Pete Hegseth's Defense Department. I still can't call it the War Department.
Good.
And,
it's okay.
And then Iran, gives almost no visas to American journalists. So there are almost no U.S. journalists actually in the country to cover, how the people are reacting and how much destruction there is. So it's like a news blackout, which, it really, ill serves the public. I mean, think how much the images from Vietnam influenced public opinion of that war. And, there have been other examples. I mean, going back to, Matthew Brady capturing Civil War soldiers as a photographer. So, we don't really know what's going on except for the official news released by the Pentagon.
A couple of things. I assume most people know the Supreme Court ruled on the I don't know what you want to call them, de facto loyalty oaths or whatever it is that Hegseth and the Pentagon demanded of journalists if they were to be in the building, and not to mention the fact that he said he barred photographers because apparently the photographs weren't pretty enough of how he looked at these availabilities. That's true, by the way, if people didn't follow that, but it's true. Supreme Court says it's violative of the Constitution, and the new rules, at least seem to me, and I think your former paper, who they were the plaintiffs, agree, still violate the Constitution and the court's ruling by putting them in a separate building. And while I sure as hell am not defending that, Jill, the stunningly high quality investigative reporting of places like the Times and others still about Pentagon activities, about the children's school that was bombed in Iran is pretty remarkable, no?
Yes, it is. And I just want to point out that none of the journalists, even those representing conservative news media outlets, signed those obedience oaths, which is great. And, in terms of the early bombing, first day bombing of the school, where over 100 people were killed, most of them children. What really got me is some of the children who were killed were they were 4th and 5th graders at a volleyball practice. That really stuck with me. And why? There were no press witnesses to this, but the Times has this great visual investigation team, which used, publicly available satellite photography to identify the site, which was many years ago part of an Iranian defense facility, but has been a school for like 10 years. So, it became obvious with more reporting by the Times and others that this looked like very bad, mistaken targeting with extremely tragic circumstances. But initially, the Pentagon was saying that the Iranians bombed the site.
Yeah. Jim mentioned before the whole the Pentagon rules, and that the legitimate press, most of them, did not agree to these rules that Pete Hegseth had about being in the Pentagon building. And what's been distressing to me, or you think of a regular person that watches Pete Hegseth's press conferences on the news, after he's through, the only people that are asking questions are these lapdog reporters from places that are saying, basically, Mr. Hegseth, can you tell us about this wonderful war and every achievement we've made? I mean, I heard that press conference, I almost drove off the road. So there's where you're not getting, I think it's harming people's perceptions.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And so, instead of relentlessly ragging on Trump, I mean, Hegseth is not the first defense secretary to tightly control war coverage. And I was Washington bureau chief of the Times as the Iraq war was ramping up. And, reporters were embedded by the Pentagon. The Pentagon gave the assignments. And so the reporting was being done under the protection of U.S. forces. So, that wasn't really a free press either.
So what happened? You mentioned in your piece that there were 600 reporters in Saigon at one point during the Vietnam War. So what happened that between George W. Bush and back when Nixon and LBJ were presidents during Vietnam, did the press just roll over, or why did we accept these?
It's a great question. I don't think the press rolled over. I came to regret very deeply agreeing to participate in the embeds program, even though we got some really good coverage from it. War has gotten, in terms of how it is pressed, so high tech, and it's very, I think, our vision of war, partly shaped by war movies, is that, the press is on the ground with the troops. Well, in Iran now, the troops aren't yet on the ground, and often they're not. Warfare is carried out by drones and other.
That's true.
Remote,
yeah, that's true.
So I don't think the press has rolled over. I wish it was more aggressive. I'm very proud of the Times for litigating against the Pentagon restrictions, but I think it's a combination of things.
Talking to Jill Abramson, former executive editor of the New York Times. She's now at Northeastern. By the way, I was reminded by Jamie, Tom Bowman, who's NPR's Pentagon reporter, is going to join us next Friday for this segment.
Great.
So look forward to talking to him. We talk a lot about Barry Weiss. I'm sure you talk and think a lot about Barry Weiss, too, who took over CBS News. The latest two headlines are, one, she is going to do a major revamp of, I guess, the most popular news magazine in American history, 60 Minutes. I have no idea what that means. But we do know what it means when it comes to CBS Radio. 100 years old, shut down. I think the deadline is the last date, I believe, is May 22nd. What's the impact of the demise of CBS Radio, Jill Abramson?
Well, the impact is obviously first and foremost on its audience. And as someone who is often in a car, it's still on for a little while more, a loyal listener. And, one of my college classmates, Dan Raviv, covered the Mideast, fabulously for, CBS Radio forever. And, it's also sad, not just in a nostalgic way, but, it's the radio gave us, Edward R. Murrow and so many of the prominent broadcasting news giants started out in radio. So it's a pity.
Sorry, go ahead, Jill.
I'm forgetting it was a two-part question.
Oh no, I just said that the only stories I read about 60 Minutes in the last few days is she wanted to make major changes.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not clear what they are
right.
now, but she's been persuaded to wait until they're on hiatus, I believe in May.
I think the only reason she's waiting is that some of the most senior correspondents at 60 Minutes will walk out the door, and she's had so many journalists walk out the door, that the appearance that, there's a tidal wave of departures is contributing to, an image of failure for her. So, to have someone like, let's say, Leslie Stahl leave would be devastating. And, 60 Minutes doesn't, the executive producer left almost immediately. And he's the one that, for years has shaped that great program.
Well, one of our favorites, Anderson Cooper, has left too.
You know what I wonder, though? Trump's poll numbers are really going down. And you wonder, from a business perspective, do you want to be more Trump ophiles at CBS, or for that matter, if the Ellis Paramount Ellison family takes over CNN, if you want to go in that direction when the American public seems to be moving away from the president, it doesn't seem like a smart business move to me.
Well, the problem, Marjorie, I think you're right, but these networks are now owned by big corporations that have a lot of business before the Trump administration. So, they're risking money if they offend the president. So that way, I think that weighs more simply.
So, Jill Abramson, we wouldn't digress in the middle of a conversation with you had you not digressed in the Boston Globe.
Yeah. Yes.
You wrote a piece that Marjorie and I independently, we said to each other today, we got to talk about. Tell people about your later in life painting behaviors, if you would, and what it's done for you.
I mean, normally in the Globe, I write, a press column that regularly, critiques just about everything the Trump administration is doing. But my editor, my great editor, Marjorie Pritchard, I had mentioned to her that I had really taken up painting in a serious way. And she said right about that, that she thought, readers would connect with that. And so I had some time on my hands, and I did. And
we're showing some of your work, by the way, as you're speaking. But keep going. No, don't say, "Oh God," it's great. Keep talking.
I love that one. There's the beach shack.
I love it.
That's a great one.
But so, what has it done for you, Jill Abramson?
It's number one is that I've learned something completely new. I was never into art before. I mean, in kindergarten, I compulsively drew cowboys, but after that, almost nothing. And, it occurred to me, I'd read a lot of things saying learning a new language or taking up an instrument is very, soul renewing besides being good for your brain. So, painting at the point I took it up in 2020 seemed like a good thing. And, I'd really never done it. And I began during COVID. Every morning I was taking care of my two grandchildren who were then very, very young. And I took their crayons and started drawing their portraits in the morning, just, to enjoy some time where they were sitting still, which of course they didn't do for long. But, I found that the type of concentration and looking in a different way and seeing in a different way was wonderful and not so unlike the things I love about journalism.
Yeah, that really is what stayed with me. She also Jill refers to herself as a human Jackson Pollock. Why do you say that, Jill Abramson?
Yeah, My teacher at the Cambridge Adult Center told me I was by far the messiest student he had ever taught.
But you know what I've loved, correct me if I'm wrong, we're almost out of time here, but that even though you may not have had the talent of a Monet, a Manet, or a Van Gogh, that you can kind of learn to become a reasonably good painter that can paint that beach shack or paint that picture of the pool with the chairs, that you can do that, which I think...
I mean, I did those with the help of a wonderful local teacher named Juana Lorek. So they were, more polished with her help. She taught me how to vibrate like the beach and in that painting.
Beautiful.
Well, they were beautiful.
Inspirational to us, Jill, let me tell you.
Yeah, Jim and I, we're going to get our paintbrushes out next, right?
I would say not. Jill, it's great to see you. Be well. Hope to see you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you
Our
very
pleasure.
much. Great to talk to you. We have been speaking with former executive editor of the New York Times, Jill Abramson. She leads the Burns Center for Social Change Initiative on Investigative Solutions Journalism at Northeastern University, and is a contributing writer, opinion writer. You should check her out in the Boston Globe. Coming up after this quick break, Live Music Friday comes courtesy this week of three-time U.S. Poet Laureate Robert Pinsky. He's got a show at the Charles Hotel Regatta Bar, but he joins us first with his musicians. We're going to have some music with poetry. Pretty great. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browdy. Listen to BPR, GBH, and NEPM live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
I'm Jared Bowen. Tune into The Culture Show for a daily discourse on the arts and culture scene, and for what's always a conversation about the state of the arts, with the most interesting thinkers, innovators, and creators in the region and beyond. From the poets, to the painters, to the power brokers who hold the purse strings. That's today at 2 on 89.7 GBH.
Support for GBH comes from you.
And the DeMoore McKim School of Business at Northeastern University, where graduate students can build vital business skills through experience. Business Bootcamp Series, April 13th through 17th. Northeastern.edu/Business Bootcamp. And Mass General Brigham. In heart surgery, expertise matters. Mass General Brigham Heart and Vascular Institute performs thousands of surgeries each year and is committed to research and innovation. massgeneralbrigham.org/heart.
Welcome back to BPR on GBH and NEPM. Marjorie Egan and Jim Browdy live at the library, streaming youtube.com/GBH News. The mayor's with us here for an hour on the 28th of April, and we expect to have dates for the Attorney General and Governor in April in a couple of days. Time for another edition of Live Music Friday. Here with us and ready to perform ahead of a show at Charles Hotel's Regatta Bar on April 12th, three-time U.S. Poet Laureate Robert Pinsky. He's joined by multi-instrumentalist, composer, Hankus Netsky, but much more importantly, a fellow graduate of Central High School in Philadelphia. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. And vocalist, saxophonist, and flutist who didn't go to Central High School, Berkeley Stan Strickland. Stan, it's great to see you, too. You can get tickets at regattabarjazz.com. In a moment, we'll speak with Robert, but first, the selection from one of his works, Misrule Music. Welcome to all three of you.
Misrule music. Misrule. When charismatic indecency carries the day. This time, charismatic indecency wins the election. There's not much comfort in that ancient cult of misrule that says, well, charismatic indecency carries the day, but the dance of misrule prances a little while and it's one frantic fall. Then the music stops, the flags come down, ordinary corruption comes back, refreshed by laughter. Hitler has only got one ball, and so forth. Ha ha, ha ha ha. Tell that to the victims. Millions at the time, millions more today, and everybody ever since, forever a victim of charismatic indecency. Naive heart in the right place, saying, resist authority. The charismatic indecency that carries the day this time, this year, is not the antic indecency of Harpo Marx snipping the necktie of a Pharisee. It's not the indecency that snips the necktie of the Pharisee who invited Jesus to dinner and Jesus preferred. Jesus favored the sinner who washed his feet with expensive perfume, and Simon the Pharisee wondered, was that decent? Excuse that prig. Bless Harpo. Bless the sinner. God knows what's in our nature. She used her hair. Harpo squeezed a horn and chased a squealing woman across the movie set, and we laughed. Ha, ha, ha. Ha. At the feast of Saturn, the horse used to ride the master's back. Bless those anonymous, indecent carnival lyrics to the Colonel Bogey Lamarche, and all the better that there never was any Colonel Bogey. Himmler had something similar. Prisoners of War whistled the tune in Bridge on the River Kwai. And poor old Goebbels had no balls at all. But no. This time, the very opposites themselves reverse that cult of misrule right down to the altar. Ha ha. Before the Christian days, the European tribes would crown for one day King Fool or King Goat or King Chicken, to give the finger to whatever horn or strutting god. Sometimes those blonde brutes even ate the chicken. This time, even the parody of order is all balled up. And if it has all happened before, that charismatic indecency, all the less reason, or is it all the more reason to wonder or to shrug at whatever charisma of darker or dumber or worse indecency carries the day?
Robert Pinsky, Hankus Netsky, and Stan Strickland. Robert is going to join us in a couple of seconds. Again, April 12th, the Charles Hotel Regatta Bar. You can get tickets at regattabarjazz.com. Hello, Robert Pinsky. That was great. That was really something.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Charismatic indecency, one of the great lines. What were you talking about there, Robert Pinsky?
I was quoting Ellen Pinsky on the morning of after the election in 2016. And Ellen Pinsky, who sometimes says good things, said, well, charismatic indecency won. 3 words A lot of people have said the same thing in effect and wondered about it. I give her credit for saying it the first moment, the first day. We had one grandchild who was crying and said to me, "Grandpa, what you said wasn't true." I was wrong, Simon. And his grandma said, "Charismatic indecency, 1."
Boy, does that capture
Well,
the moment,
I want to say your musicians, captured Hankus Netsky and Stan Strickland, their accompaniment carried that whole feeling on the piano and the clarinet riff.
When did you start doing that? When did you
captured
start combining poetry with jazz?
It goes back quite a while. One of the first musicians I worked with was Bob Moses. Since done it with Vijay Iyer. I've also done shows since then with rock musicians. I worked with Josh Ritter. I learned something. I'll echo Jill Abramson talking about painting. I think I learned something about writing by trying to hear the melodies of the music and the contrasting and coordinating melodies of the sentences. So it's meant a lot to me. I guess it must be about 20 years or more that I've been doing it. It always refreshes me. I always like it. It's different every time. And I like being surprised by what Stan does, what the other musicians do. We'll have Catherine Bent on cello on the 12th, and Catherine too, and John Lockwood. They surprise me. And I try to listen real hard, and if I can, maybe even surprise them back.
Well, it's also, I think, the rhythm of music. Obviously, poetry is so rhythmical, right? I mean, they're part and parcel in a way, the same thing.
Everybody starts with rhythm. It was Stan Strickland, who we just heard, who first pointed out to me that of the 3 components of all music, rhythm, melody, and harmony, everybody thinks of rhythm as first. Stan said to me, "I don't think so." He said, "I think melody came first."
Oh.
He said, "My dog sings when he's hungry,
Really?
when he's angry, when he's happy. He can't keep time."
Well, that's
And
a
it's
very
true
good
of-
point, Stan. I hadn't thought of that.
It's true of a baby.
Yeah.
A baby can sing happiness, unhappiness, hunger, whatever. Can't keep time either. It takes a while to keep time. So, yeah, melody and rhythm. And it's harmony, too. It's harmony and time.
So you're well known for trying to get more people involved in poetry and reading poetry, and there's so many things you've done. The Favor the Poem Project, an invitation to poetry, I think that was 2006. If people are listening now and they're intimidated or they love listening to you now but they don't know where to go, tell people where they can go if they wanna enjoy more poetry or get familiar with more poetry.
Go to... The word "go" these days has to do with keyboards, doesn't it?
Yes.
Go, end quote, to favoritepoem.org.
Okay.
One word. And at favoritepoem.org, I promise you won't hear me yakking about poetry. You won't see a literary critic. You won't see poets reading their poem and talking about how sensitive they are.
You'll
see a construction worker read Walt Whitman. You'll see a Cambodian-American high school kid read Langston Hughes. You'll see a glassblower read Frank O'Hara.
Oh, great.
People. And that, we've found the mythological creature that doesn't exist, Americans who love poetry. We found a lot of them. I know you're one of them.
Well, I always think
look, I've heard you talking to Richard Blanco. I know.
Oh gosh, Richard Blanco introduced me to so many great poets. Well, that's what you always think. You think every time I read a great poem, I think, why aren't I reading more poetry? And then I end up reading the news, and I get depressed.
I think that I was thinking as I came up here to work with the musicians about Emily Dickinson and the Civil War, which she lived through. And one of her favorite poems of mine is that one about the crickets or cicadas in the weeds. And she says, no ordnance is seen. A pensive custom it becomes enlarging loneliness. A pensive custom, it becomes enlarging loneliness. I'll see if I can do, I think I can do another 4 lines. Antiquest felt at noon, when August burning low. Something, enlarging, arise this spectral canticle. Arise this spectral canticle, enlarging loneliness. And that's not, you don't have to go to school to know. Don't. That's like tasting something great or hearing really beautiful music. It's just, it's in us. The same way we respond to any other pleasure. An example I always use is, if you recite Yeats or Blake or Dickinson to an infant, the kid will curl up against you and be pleased, just like when you sing to them.
Really?
Same thing. Maybe even more, because people that age are very interested in language. They're trying really hard to learn it.
So Robert Pinsky,
I should try that.
We're going to go from
with
Emily
my little
Dickinson
babies in my life.
I recommend it.
Thank you.
You're going to tell us in a minute what you and your colleagues are going to perform in a second. But when Marjorie, you and I were talking this morning, I bumped into you in the street the other day, and I said, you look fabulous. You got here this morning, Marjorie says, you look fabulous.
Do.
This is our sort of superficial
That's
side.
Right. I am superficial.
And then you did one of the finest imitations of Billy Crystal that I've ever heard. And for people who think you're like a 2-note guy, a jazz guy and a poet, can you do a little Billy Crystal for us?
Say it again.
Can you do Billy Crystal for us, talking about?
I think Billy Crystal is fantastic.
Well, do the thing you did for us before. It was excellent.
Oh, yes. I felt I was related to his character, Fernando, who says, remember, it's more important, it's better to look good than to feel good.
Exactly. Thank you. That was excellent. What are you and 3 going to perform?
3 words for you, Jim. 3 words for you. Don't encourage me.
I think I will, actually. What are you 3 performing?
We're going to perform another poem. It's my version of a poem by my friend and teacher, Czesław Miłosz, the great Polish poet.
You were at Berkeley with him, is that?
Yes, we were colleagues at Berkeley.
And this is called Incantation.
Yes.
Excellent. We'll tell people where to come see you in a second.
Yeah, we got to say goodbye to the people listening to us at any PM. You can tune into the Fabulous 413 starting at 3 o'clock this afternoon. But goodbye to those folks up there. But we are going to be hearing more from Robert Pinsky, Stan Strickland, and Hankus Netsky right now.
Incantation.
Incantation. Human reason, and reason is a sense. The way your eyes see, your nose smells, reason sees ideas. Human reason is beautiful and invincible. Human reason is beautiful and invincible. Human reason is beautiful and invincible. No bars, no barbed wire, no sentence of banishment, no pulping of books can prevail against human reason. It establishes the universal ideas in language and guides our hands so we write truth and justice with capital letters, lie and oppression with small. Human reason is beautiful and invincible. Human reason is beautiful and invincible. It is an enemy of despair and a friend of hope. It does not know Jew from Greek or slave for a master, giving us the estate of the world to manage. It does not know Jew from Greek or slave from master, giving us the estate of the world to manage. It saves austere and transparent phrases from the filthy discord of tortured words. It says everything is new under the sun. It is an enemy of despair. It opens the congealed fist of the past. Beautiful and very young are philosophia, meaning science, and poetry, science's ally in the service of the good. Beautiful and very young are science and poetry, her ally in the service of the good. As late as yesterday, nature celebrated their birth. As late as yesterday, nature celebrated the birth of science and poetry, her ally in the service of the good. The news was brought to the mountains of their birth. It was brought to the mountains by a unicorn and an echo. Beautiful and very young. Beautiful and very young are science and poetry, her ally in the service of the good. The news was brought to the mountains by a unicorn and an echo. Their friendship will be glorious. Their friendship will be glorious. Their time has no limit. Their enemies have delivered themselves to destruction because beautiful and very young are poetry and science, her ally in the service of the good. Their enemies have delivered themselves to destruction.
We have been speaking and hearing from three-time United States Poet Laureate Robert Pinsky, accompanied by saxophonist Stan Strickland and composer Hankus Netsky. Wonderful, wonderful. They have a show at the Charles Hotel Regatta Bar on April 12th. Tickets at regattabarjazz.com. That's regattabarjazz.com on April 12th. Thank you so much for coming in. Coming up, Media Maven Sue O'Connell is going to be with us. We're going to talk to him about a lot of things. Bondi, Nome. What else are we going to talk about? The JFK film that is sweeping the nation, and Tiger Woods. Sue O'Connell next. You're listening to 89.7 GBH.
GBH is committed to lifelong learning, and the Beacon Circle shares that commitment with gifts of $2,400 or more. It's one big way to help keep our community informed and connected. Learn more at gbh.org/Beacon Circle.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And MIT Federal Credit Union, committed to helping members grow their balances while keeping them accessible with their high-yield money market. Memberships open to the public. More at mitfcu.org, federally insured by NCUA.
And New England Recovery Center, providing inpatient addiction treatment in state-of-the-art facilities located in Westboro, Mass. Learn more at newenglandrecoverycenter.org or by calling 1-877-MY-REHAB.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
Welcome back to hour number 2. I guess I'm Marjorie Egan. He is Jim Browdy. We're live at the Boston Public Library. Marjorie, you have missed your cue, I would say, about 34 days in a row.
I'm sorry. I was chatting.
Live at the library. And by the way, she yelled at me 2 weeks ago because I read where she was supposed to. You know what I mean, Sue?
I do, exactly.
I was telling Sue how much I missed her. She went on vacation.
You did?
Yes.
Well, whatever. I'm not done yet. Live at the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Now we're joined at the library desk by local woman Sue O'Connell, our media maven, NBC 10 News influencer, political analyst, Thunder Truck correspondent, and Coyote mating season survivor.
You got it, baby.
Hello, Sue. That's
good day, good day.
Nice to see you.
Hi, Marjorie. I missed you, too. Yes.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Sue. I said, where's she been? We missed her on Boston Public Radio here, but now she's back.
She is back.
Okay, so let's talk first about this this Supreme Court ban on Colorado's conversion therapy. Colorado banned conversion therapy. Now they've said they can do it under First Amendment rights. You were thinking...
No. They didn't ban conversion therapy. They banned... Well, Sue will explain.
Yeah, they protected... And I'm speaking.
That's right.
I'm speaking in the language of the Supreme Court. They protected the right of talk therapy doctors and therapists
to keep doing it,
to keep talking kids out of being LGBT or Q, because they say, the Supreme Court, all but Justice Jackson said that it's a free speech issue. It's not like a cancer treatment. It's not like chemotherapy. The person who sued, the therapist who sued, was not putting her hands on anyone. She was not giving them medication. She was talking to them. And because she was talking to them, and because they were minors, that was another part of it, this is protected speech. What it doesn't do immediately is it does not ban this sort of treatment in all the other states. However, it does make it more vulnerable because now there is a path that people can take to challenge it. Now, people were shocked because it was an almost unanimous decision, and it's a conservative court. But, this is a very crazy kind of First Amendment issue. And I think the challenge here is, medical treatment, whether it's talking or prescribing drugs or doing an operation, you would think would be carved out, and that the justices would see there should be special consideration given especially to children, because if there's one area where I think the government steps in as it should more aggressively that we support is when it comes to protecting children, right? Taking children away from parents, intervening when children are abused by parents. And in this case, the justices, it looks to me, and they valued this idea of free speech in the First Amendment over the safety of the children. And over the years, you'll see a lot of these challenges because now this is the path to allow therapists to try and talk kids out of being LGBT or Q.
When we first, Marty and I heard this decision, I don't think we were on the air, but we were sitting together here or something, and I said, yet another horrible decision from the Supreme Court. And then I've had 3 positions on this. Horrible decision from the Supreme Court. And then as soon as I read that 2 of the liberal justices were in the majority, I said maybe I should read the thing. And I said, well, it's hard to accept, but there is a First Amendment issue. And then I thought about it even more before coming in today. And it's like saying that a person in this position, when advising someone, particularly a young person, about health, it's fine to say, oh, you have COVID, you should take bleach. I mean, so
no, they would say the difference there is they're not giving you a treatment. They're not saying you should take something.
No, but what they are saying is they're talking about an option, this conversion therapy thing, which experts say increases the likelihood of suicide for people.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing.
So if it's a dangerous thing that they're allegedly exercising their first speech about, I mean, it's almost like there should be a carve-out for medical speech.
That's what I'm saying. I believe that there should be a carve-out for medical speech, and I also believe that the justices did not take into the consideration the minor aspect of it in protecting the children, because if you're an adult, one would hope you could be able to adjudicate the messages you get from your therapist better than a child. But that's the challenge to me, is that medical advice should have we adjudicate and regulate medical advice all the time. You see it with the FDA, you see it with vitamins. It's not against the free speech to say this hasn't been tested by the FDA when you're buying a vitamin. So it's troubling in that way, and like I said, it is going to have a ripple effect on, right now in Massachusetts, the conversion therapy is banned, but that doesn't mean it's going to stay banned because
it's done a lot of damage to a lot of gay kids.
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, it's like you meet one person who has been through some sort of conversion therapy, and it doesn't even need to be going to the camp or all the terrible big stories we hear. Just going to talk to a therapist and not being affirmed for who you are. There has really been no successful way to change people into being gay or into not being gay. So the idea that your core being is being challenged, especially when you're young and you are looking for affirmation or safeness or safety rather, it's a terrible thing.
And one last thing, I thought it was sort of ancient, bad thinking that this was a choice. I mean, I thought we got over that.
No,
but apparently
we
haven't gotten over
that.
it.
No.
Okay.
And, or they want to repress it. I mean, that's the other part of it.
Okay.
But let me just say, I'm with you, but Kagan and Sotomayor are not knee-jerk right-wingers. They're, if anything, I don't mean this in a pejorative, they're knee-jerk left-wing people.
Yeah.
So it really, it's tougher. I end up exactly where you end up, but it's tougher question than
I think Ketanji Brown Jackson got it exactly right.
But she also kind of threaded a needle as well. Like she was just more about it's not a free speech issue. Yes. It should have, if I read it correctly, it should have a medical carve out.
Yeah.
And the government should not be involved in the way that she was. So it's just It really must have been a very complicated case for the justices. And unfortunately, if Jim and I were on the Supreme Court, I think there would have been a different ruling.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to happen sometime soon.
Absolutely,
okay,
in our future.
So Kristi Noem is gone now. Pam Bondi is gone.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of either of these people. They are both female. I mean, is this a girl purge, or should we expect the Labor Secretary to be gone next? Because I guess she's been carrying out.
Oh, and Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi's
in the mix there. I mean, I think it is pretty surprising in the parade of horribles that are in this administration and the number of mistakes and terrible things. Everyone in this administration has done. The first ones to go are the women, right? So, I mean, we need to be clear about that. I have been talking to a lot of people because I actually said I thought Pam Bondi was at least qualified, low bar, but she was one of the few like Marco Rubio who was actually qualified for the job, and I don't know what she was smoking and what happened to her, but just a total disaster on every front.
I don't care about your opinion on their. I care. Did you revel in their misery like we did?
Yeah, I did after the judiciary. I was just waiting for this to happen. The fact that he also Trump took her for a ride in the car and limo and told her that she was going to. I mean,
so are we bad people for?
No, because they're inflicting incredible harm and crimes to this country, and also she's smart enough to know better. I mean, I'm just really conflicted as to how terrible she turned out to be.
Okay. You are our cultural maven for the day. I haven't seen this. I'm embarrassed to say I haven't seen it. I'll try to watch some of it this weekend. But this love story thing about JFK Jr.
You haven't watched this, Marjorie?
I have not.
I am shocked.
Of course I have not. It is the biggest thing.
This is right in your wheelhouse.
It is right in my wheelhouse.
You didn't watch the two gay hockey players. That's right in your wheelhouse.
That's a good point.
That's right. I haven't finished the gay. Well, I finished the gay hockey players, but this is like the biggest thing on Hulu, Disney, and
it's huge.
It's huge. 40 million people watch this thing. So, and a lot of
people. We
people.
have some sound. Do we want to play this?
Oh yes, let's play some sound. Thank you, Jim, for reminding me of that.
Here's a scene.
Here is a scene from FX's Love Story, where JFK Jr. meets Carolyn Bessette at a party. I've been very smooth today, and he asks her for her number, which I think most of us would have given to him in about a second and a half. But anyway, she didn't.
It's nice meeting you, John.
You think I can get your number?
I don't give my number out to strangers. I just met you. You could be a serial killer for all I know.
Oh, come on. That'd be way too much of a commitment. How about I give you my number? That way the ball's in your court.
I don't want to get your hopes up.
Oh, please, I'm not about begging. In front of all of my closest friends.
You know where I work.
Let me just say, that is the worst 26 seconds I have ever
So let me tell you
heard
why
or
it's
read.
so appealing.
Okay.
So first of all, everyone loved JFK Jr.
They
There's
do.
no doubt about it. And this actor and this story is able to recreate what he had going for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know Carolyn at all, but I know people who did know her.
Oh, you do?
Yep. And she was, represented, except for the fictionalized part of this and the storytelling part of it. She is who she seemed to be in this. And I think for a younger generation, those folks that are under 40, they have no phones. They're going on dates.
Yeah.
They are paying attention to each other when they're at events. They're not just posing and taking pictures. And, her style, there was no doubt about it. She had a very fresh approach to what she wore even before she was in the public spotlight. And that is being, that kind of Gap, wear a pair of Gap pants and an expensive sweater and the minimal look that she had. And that's really pulling it off. We're seeing a lot of finance bros in New York trying to pull off the JFK Jr. look with the hat and the biking.
A little bit more
not
difficult.
doing as well. It's a lot tougher than that looks. So I think it has really hit sort of a rom-com tragedy piece here for a lot of folks in the younger generation. It's a Ryan Murphy piece. He does a very great job. It's got celebrity in it. You've got the Kennedys, you got Daryl Hannah, who's very upset.
I thought we were in a post-Kennedy America.
We are not. I got to tell you, nothing I love more than hiring someone new and from another part of the country, and them eventually coming to me and saying, "Oh, so the Kennedy thing is real here." And I say, yes.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh my God, a Kennedy sneezed. Quick, get somebody down there and cover it." And
we got a story this morning about this whole new thing that's coming out about the grandfather, Joe Kennedy. It's a whole new series.
The thing about the Kennedys, aside from being in Boston, is they have been involved in this country's entire political and cultural viewpoint since the 1800s, right? There has been a Kennedy generation from, Rose Kennedy's dad, who was the mayor of Boston, to Joe Kennedy in almost, giving the store away to the Nazis in Great Britain. Every single moment in our country, we've had a Kennedy, as we do right now, with RFK Jr. So I think that the allure of it, and if there's a storyteller who's able to really pitch it to a generation like they are with this, the love story, I think they have, a lot of drama and appeal.
Before we continue excuse me 1 second, we've been on the air 27 years. Yeah. I think we have the first guest we have ever had who was wearing a fanny pack during the interview. I don't think I've ever seen
baby. You haven't seen a fanny. Boy, you guys got to get out of the house.
Wow.
It's a Lululemon fanny pack.
It is.
What
do you put in a fanny pack? What is the point?
Keys, phone.
Well,
I got a big bag in my car.
You what?
I have a big bag in my car. I don't want to bring that in.
Do you find that odd, though? I mean, it is.
You don't get out much, do you, Jim? How many of you have been to Lululemon and have purchased their very expensive fanny packs? There you go.
That would be about 3 people. Okay.
I furnished their overpriced yoga
we
stuff,
can move on.
but it lasts for like 25 years.
Yes.
So let me ask you one last thing about this.
Make sure it's the last thing
I have
about
not
this.
watched. Jim has no interest in this.
None.
I have not watched this yet because I haven't had a chance. But you have. So
I have.
should I spend some time watching this?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
The
you need to
reviews
stay
are
home
bad.
all day. The reviews are not that bad. It's very successful. The last 2 episodes of where they deal with the crash and. I think they really have captured a moment. Plus, you've got the music. We have to remember it's nostalgic.
Nostalgic.
There's a nostalgic
1990s.
area here. They've picked. I think the music selection in it was perfect.
Oh, good.
And the scene in New York. I mean, it captures something. It's not kind of like Sex and the City in a way, where it's capturing a moment in time.
Except it was real, and virtually every single person who knew them or had a relationship with either of them says that it is grossly distorted and unfair.
So when have we ever seen anything where somebody said, "Oh, that's exactly it's fiction"?
So
every single time we take someone's story and put it on television, or make a movie or write a book about it, it's fictionalized. It's not about them so much as about their story.
Well, you know what's ridiculous?
Their love story.
Had JFK Jr., I mean, you're a gay woman. Had JFK Jr. asked you for your number, I'm sure you would have given it to him in 2 seconds.
Absolutely, I would have. But that's the whole point that she did.
Who would not give JFK Jr.?
But
Oh, yes.
That's what was one of the appealing things about her, is that she was not, she was reluctant to join this entire cult.
Yeah. Okay. I tell you. Okay.
You got some great Ethel Kennedy moments in there too. That's
there are.
Yeah.
Ethel?
Yeah. They go to Hyannis, and Ethel has Ethel's being Ethel, and
I heard they had some really cringy, cheesy moment in there where Jackie is dying, and they're playing
Camelot.
The Camelot
but she actually
song.
apparently did that. So I mean,
she did.
Yeah.
Once there was a place.
Okay, it's enough
in
of that.
the movie.
I don't care.
Exactly. Speaking for all of us, by the way, thank you. It was a real caller.
You're not Irish, Jim. Maybe that's the problem.
Irish.
Not
I
Irish.
grew up with a picture of Robert Kennedy on my wall, and Jimmy Hoffa.
My mother, who is not Irish.
There you go.
No, that is not true.
My dad was a Teamster. Every month we got the Teamsters magazine with Jimmy Hoffa's picture on it, and I think he signed something for my dad once. So we had a plate on the wall of RFK Jr., John Kennedy.
Where was the Pope?
We weren't Pope.
No
people.
Pope.
No, we were
Pope,
half
okay.
Protestant in my house.
Oh, okay, all right.
But and my dad had a picture of Jimmy Hoffa right there.
Okay, so Marjorie had to get that out of her system. Can I work with you to get something out of my system?
Go ahead, please.
You know that
Expect
we're
my
at war,
invoice.
is that correct?
I've heard that, yes.
You know that the economy in general and people's personal economies are suffering big time.
Yes.
So Donald Trump wakes up, I believe, yesterday, and at 7:58, he decided to post a long truth social, not about the war, not about the economy, not about tariffs, not about the price of gas. He chose to post about Bruce Springsteen, who had been in Minneapolis, obviously, over the weekend, and had, I thought, brilliantly and with incredible articulation, savaged Trump and everything Trump stands for. Here's what Donald Trump thought was the most important thing to do at 7:58 a.m. I'm just going to read some because it's so long. Bad and very boring singer Bruce Springsteen, who looks like a dried up prune, who has suffered greatly from the work of a really bad plastic surgeon. And then after he's done trashing Bruce, at least temporarily, this is the President of the United States, says, I won all 7 swing states and 86% of the counties across America. And then he goes, we're the hottest country in the world. MAGA should boycott his overpriced concerts, which suck. This is the President of the United States. Save your hard-earned money. America is back.
You missed the
Donald
obligatory Joe Biden mention. Under Sleepy Joe. We have to make sure.
Sleepy
You
Joe.
know, everyone has Trump derangement syndrome, but no one has Biden derangement syndrome. I mean,
Very
you
good point.
can't go a moment.
So, can I ask you a question? You're the journalist here. I meant to bring this up with Jill Abramson, but we wanted to talk about her painting, so we didn't have time. It is obvious to me, as I've been saying for months, this being the latest evidence, that this man, in addition to being a sadist and a woman abuser and everything, and a felon, is also suffers from serious mental illness.
Yeah.
We in the media seem to have no ability to deal with that. Whether it's, you remember the 27 shrinks who wrote the books? During the we had one of them, the woman from Yale, Bandy Lee, was that her name or something? And we had another one of the 27, a man locally, I can't think of his name. For us, to, even if we can't, we opinion people can speculate about it, shouldn't we be talking to people who are experts? Forget the damn Goldwater rule that you're not allowed to comment on somebody who you haven't seen. The world is hanging by a thread. Shouldn't we be talking about this?
So I would say, to what end? Right? So my
so that we
answer,
don't have to listen to a debate about a policy thing. This is about a man who is a huge danger.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying, if you ask everyone who can see what this is, if this is happening, they're all going to say, yes, we see it. And as everyone says to me wherever I go, what can we do about this?
You can start convincing people who hopefully don't want the first paragraph of their obituaries to say what sycophantic, bootlickers they are, to think about the 25th Amendment. Because the guy, in addition to being evil, is deranged.
These people took jobs with him after the first term in the way that he behaved, and remember him dancing on the stage for 30 minutes during a fundraiser, and people still took a job with him. My point, I totally agree with you. I don't disagree with you at all, except you're talking to people who already believe this, and then the people who don't believe it are still all the way in, penny for a pound, supporting him. I think the issue is more to just talk about the things that are happening and the ways that people can do something, because it's only going to keep getting worse. Every single time he has a moment off mic, I mean, he was at the Easter lunch the other day going on about how he was going to go on television and say what a good job he was doing, and he was looking for a fat guy, but JD looked like he lost some weight, so hey, how about you, buddy? I'm going to talk to you. He's clearly not well, but nobody who is supporting him cares. And I started doing this, I think halfway through his second term. Talking about the impact this has on human beings means nothing, so I talk about the economic impact. To your point, that if people can understand that the decisions that he is making are impacting your gas, your oil, your cost of eggs, that's the only way to make an argument to make people see clearly. Because clearly, a bunch of people voted for him. He was bad enough in the first term in terms of his mental health, and it meant nothing. So I'm just going to talk about the economics.
Well, let me just say, by the way, I ordinarily do subscribe to the notion that James Carville, it's the economy is stupid. However, you're not going to remove a president. I know it's a real long shot for bad policy positions. You might remove a president who has 2.5+ years to go, who you think because of, let me be kind, mental instability is a great threat to your family too, Mr. Republican Senator. And maybe that's naive, but that's right. Before you go, what do you think about Peeps?
No.
Time's up.
Time's up. I was going to ask if you thought Tiger Woods was really talking to the president when he got
Who knows?
pulled over for DUI.
Who knows?
That's what he said. Okay, what do you think about Peeps?
We're going to talk to our listeners about Peeps.
I believe in Peeps as a decoration. So I get Peeps and I put them out as decor.
The package or out of the package?
Oh, out of the package. And I just throw them around a little bit. But I'm not. I do not ingest them.
You do not.
No, I do not ingest
nor
Peeps.
Does she.
A peep on every tabletop.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I totally do support them as decor.
Well, thank you for that contribution to the show. We really appreciate
well, I'm glad you're back from
O'Connell.
vacation. I missed you very much.
Well, I missed you too, Marjorie. Jim, did you miss me?
Where were you, by the way?
I was in Palm Springs for a week.
Wow.
In California, and the week before I was not here because I was moderating the Girl Scouts of Eastern Massachusetts, their annual event, which I do, which I love very much. Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Were you a brownie and a Girl Scout?
That's a long story.
Okay.
We don't have time.
Okay.
Sounds
We're over
like a
time.
great story to
We've been
me.
speaking with Sue O'Connell, media maven, NBC 10 News, influencer, and political analyst. Thank you, Sue, for coming in. After this quick break, it's Good Friday, so naturally we're opening the lines to talk about Peeps ahead of Easter. All things Peeps and Easter candy. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browdy. You're listening to BPR 89.7 GBH live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
Bye. See you later.
I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. Today on the Curiosity Desk, the annual fan convention extravaganza Anime Boston is in town this weekend. We'll look at what fuels these die-hard niche communities. And as tens of thousands of anime fans flock to the city, we ask one urbanologist, why is it so hard to find a public bathroom in Boston when you really need one? That's the Curiosity Desk today at 1 on GBH 89.7.
Support for our programs comes from you.
And Biogen. For nearly 50 years, Biogen has been committed to advancing biotechnology innovations to develop new medicines for people with hard-to-treat diseases. Biogen, making breakthroughs happen. Biogen.com.
And Schneider Electric, providing energy technology and sustainability advisory services to help the Boston Athletic Association shape more sustainable events for athletes, fans, and the community. Learn more at se.com.
Welcome back to BPR and 89.7 GBH. Marjorie Egan and Jim Browdy. We're live at the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. It is Good Friday, which means many families with young kids are prepping Easter baskets. So we're opening the lines to get your thoughts on a very controversial, divisive item, the humble marshmallow peep. Love them or hate them, give us a call at 877-301-8970. A new study is found, and we learned about this from the Boston Globe's Peep correspondent, who was an occasional travel writer, Christopher Muther. Here's what he put. A nation divided. Half of those surveyed eat Peeps straight from the package, while some let them harden and get stale before eating. others microwave them. We'll get to that in a minute. The poor peeps really get put through the ringer this season. Line up calls now at 877-301-8970. How do you prefer your peeps, or do you find them absolutely repugnant? And while we're at it, let us know if you're even doing an Easter basket or an egg hunt or any of the trappings of the season. Massive Costco chocolate bunnies, 10 pounds actually, that you have to use a hammer to break. Marjorie's perennial favorite, fresh lint balls from Lint on Boylston Street, right across the street. But before we get to your calls, which we will soon, let's spend a few minutes with that international expert. That'd be Boston Globe travel writer Chris Vermuther. Welcome, Chris. Good to see you.
Good to see you both as well.
Yeah, you wrote the most brilliant column about peeps, and I did not realize that they were so polarizing and such a controversy, as you pointed out. But do tell, why is this such a rift every Easter season?
Well, I mean, as the two of you were just saying, both of you don't like peeps, right? Was that what you said?
I do not like peeps, no.
All right, so initially, I then think, what childhood trauma led you to not like peeps? Because peeps are basically a food from the gods that we should all be thankful for. Deliciousness with just the right coating of sugar on top. Coincidentally, they're also gluten-free and they're also fat-free, so they're healthy.
They are?
So the health. I'm looking at my package of Peeps right here, which I will.
Oh, he has Peeps.
Oh, look at that.
Which I will start eating as soon as this segment is over, and I might even start before the segment's over, because when I see a package of Peeps, I need to start eating them. Now, Peeps are weirdly. There's such a rift when it comes to Peeps, even in my house. For instance, I love them. My husband and my cat hate them, and my cat eats anything.
Yeah,
so
sure he does.
When I was growing up, it was the same way. But I just love Peeps, and I'm not here as a paid endorser of Peeps. However, I'm happy to be a Peeps influencer. Call me Peeps people. We'll make something happen. But I just don't understand the hatred toward these sweet, innocent little chicks.
Well, I did not know until today, when you identify yourself, you called yourself a peep purist in your column, that the product name suggests a peep is the noise that a baby chick makes as it emerges from its shell. Did you know that, Jim?
Who cares?
And that it really is you talk about peep cruelty in your column. What is that all about?
Well, in the study that came out looks at how people consume Peeps.
Yeah.
So there are some people who like them fresh from the box, and those people are called smart, and I fall into that category.
Yeah.
There are some people who open the package and like them stale. They like a little crunch to their Peep.
Hardened.
And then there are the people who treat Peeps like some common, ordinary marshmallow. Right? They'll put a stick through it and put it over the fire.
Yeah.
It's like this poor little chick.
They light it on
You don't want to
fire.
put a stick through it. Yeah, and like
terrible.
They'll eat it like a s'more. It's like that's what marshmallows were made for, not delicious Peeps. Peeps are meant to be eaten directly from the package, and they need to be the original yellow chick shape.
Okay, so let's be clear. I think the consensus is you've added absolutely nothing to this conversation. So
what are you talking about?
Excuse me. Since you mentioned cruelty in one context a few minutes ago, Chris Vermuther, let's talk about cruelty. You were on the show a couple of years ago, which was another mistake we made. And we were talking about Peeps at the time. Here's the back and forth between the three of us. Can we have that, please?
The only good thing a Peep is good for is putting it in the microwave and exploding. And you got to just make sure it's somebody else's microwave.
Jim, some people have said the same of you. But anyway, I'll just keep going here.
Or I got to get in the microwave. So
well, really,
thank God.
I have to thank Christopher for that image. What will stay with us for a long time.
I'm going to put a table talk pie in there too.
Two sadists. I mean, do you want to say? You don't have to apologize. You want to comment on that comment, or you don't?
Oh, I'm not going to apologize. Are you kidding? I'll stand by that to this day.
Okay. Well, okay.
Christopher,
let me just say, the column was
pièce de résistance.
Good.
It was fantastic. It was the ultimate Peep column. I mean, you covered every single solitary thing right out of the box, hardened, microwaved them, set them on fire, all these things.
Do you know that you're the only, as far as we know, other than the Mr. Pillow network, you're the only Peeps correspondent in America. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Also, can you send me a URL for the Mr. Pillow?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if there's someone else who shares my love of Peeps, then unless it's Mike Lindell, then they've got to be, a bright person.
Before you go, one of our producers wants to know if you're drinking wine because they think that it is early in the afternoon, and I guess he is. Okay.
Good for you.
Okay.
Good for you.
What?
Enjoy
Nothing
Friday.
goes better with Peeps than wine. So cheers to me. Happy Easter.
Christopher Muther,
Christopher, you're
thank
one
you
of a
very
kind.
much.
It's
We've been
great to
speaking
talk
with
to
Christopher
you.
Muther,
Thank you
who's
for the
a
call.
great writer and a very funny
is a
writer for
great
the Boston
writer.
Globe. And he
He
has
is
the
great.
pièce de résistance piece just today in the Globe. Are Peeps the most divisive Easter candy of all time? Hint, yes, they are. People are very divided. And we should mention before you open the lines at 877-301-8970 that those of you who live in Hancock, New Hampshire just missed the event of the year, the Peeps diorama.
Yeah. Ornate.
The little Peeps are running around inside little doll houses, or peep houses, I should call them, and they're very popular. So how do you feel about Peeps? 877-301-8970 with their adorable little corn syrup eyes, and when you eat them, you can feel that corn syrup, as Christopher says, coursing through your veins. Jim,
We have to take a break, and then we'll get to all your calls. Is that fair enough?
quick break, right back.
This week on Under the Radar with Callie Crossley, for this Easter Sunday, an encore about Black Catholics in the U.S., 3 million and growing, but no African-American Catholic saints. When will the Saintly Six be canonized? Exploring Black Catholicism in Boston and beyond. That's Under the Radar with me, Callie Crossley, Sunday night at 6 here on 89.7 GBH and the GBH app.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Newbury Court, serving Concord, Massachusetts for 30 years as a not-for-profit continuing care retirement community dedicated to older adults. More at newburycourt.org. And Mass General Brigham. In heart surgery, expertise matters. Mass General Brigham Heart and Vascular Institute performs thousands of surgeries each year and is committed to research and innovation. massgeneralbrigham.org/heart.
Welcome back to BPR 89.7 GBH. We're live at the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. We're continuing our conversation about Peeps because it is Good Friday. Easter Sunday is coming up, and Peeps are our topic of the year, that one time a year. Now, you want to love almost every headline of every story read this morning has the word polarizing in it,
Polarizing.
which is about a piece of candy. Why do you?
Very
I
divisive.
don't like marshmallow in general,
Yeah.
except occasionally if it's, on the fire kind of thing. Why do you not like Peeps?
Because they're so cute, and you look at them, you kind of feel you shouldn't put them
That's
in your
not
mouth.
true.
And eat
Is
them.
that really true?
That's part of it. That's
Okay,
part of
fine.
it. But listen to this. We should point out before we get to the phones at 877-301-8970, have we birthright citizenship if we get rid of the idea that you have a child here, the kid is American, we might not even have Peeps because, well, the guy who created Peeps, this Robert Bourne guy, he was the child of Russian immigrants.
Ooh.
Yes, and he might have not been able to to invent Peeps that have caused so much controversy at every Easter. Let's go to Wendy in West Roxbury. Hi, Wendy.
Hey, Wendy.
Hi.
How are you?
Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
So I have a love-hate relationship with Peeps.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate to eat them, but I love to use them in my science class.
What for? What end? To what end?
So if you put Peeps in the microwave, in a baking dish, you line it with Peeps, which would horrify your previous guest, and microwave it, you can use it to calculate the speed of light.
How do you do that?
So for all those nerdy parents out there who want to turn this into a science experiment, your microwave says the frequency on the inside. There's a sticker somewhere, usually on the door, that tells you the frequency.
Okay.
And the Peeps will only melt at specific points. So you measure the distance between those points, and that's half a wavelength of light.
Wait, is that?
So you double that length and multiply it by the frequency, and you have the speed of light.
You know, I would
there
have
you
doubted
go.
this, but you know what I just remembered? The Artemis astronauts spent a week at a Peeps facility before blast off. And now we know why. Wendy, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's a great story. I hope it is. Thank you very much for the call.
But it makes total sense because
Why?
apparently, back in 1999, these scientists at Emory University did all these experiments studying the solubility of Peeps. They spent 2 years. They put them in water, tap water, then increasingly intense substances like boiling water, then acetone, then sulfuric acid, then sodium hydroxide, and then the Peeps survived all this. They survived. And they were so resilient they got really kind of angry, and I shouldn't say they got angry, but they put them in something called phenol, a protein-dissolving solvent that is lethal to human beings, and all that was left of the Peep was the little corn syrup eyes, Jim.
That's amazing. You know what they all did after they did that? They killed a goat. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go to June in Waltham. You're next on BPR.
Well, I guess the eyes, excuse me, they're made of carnauba wax and not made of corn syrup.
Trust me, they don't.
Oh, I wanted to be correct about that.
That's fine. June in Waltham, welcome to the show. Hi.
Hi. Well, this is a first for me, and I've been driving, but I just pulled over.
We're
First
thrilled.
of all, I have to say your show today was just hilarious. I wish I could have been there.
Thanks.
And Christopher Miller, who I love more than anybody, I'm really a big fan of his.
He's great. He's great.
So if he's still there, please tell him I said that.
We will.
And now the fact that he is a fan of Peeps has made it even more fantastic for me. And before I say anything more, I'm just going to say I'm a clinical social worker and I'm on the way to work. So if any of my patients are hearing this, they might be horrified. The bottom line is I love Peeps. I absolutely love them. My family makes horrific fun of me. And I'm in the stale camp, variety. So I will open the package and let them harden for a couple weeks. Or if I cannot wait, you put them in the freezer, and that also has the same effect.
Now, when you do the hard...
I'm very much a fan.
I'm sorry.
And I don't celebrate Easter, but my favorite day of the year is the day after Easter, because that's when the Peeps go on sale.
Oh, my God.
And I will scour every supermarket and every CVS just to find them on sale.
By the way, just to help you out, June,
big bucks for
we
them.
just got a text. Your next patient canceled, so you're free to stay with us for a couple.
Actually, it's Jude. It's Jude, but they call me Judith. Yeah.
This is
Anyway,
a serious question. When you let them harden outside the container, does the inside stay soft when you pierce the crust?
No. If you open. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Nor can I.
You open the pack. I just sort of open the package and I just let them sit there without, opening it full. I open the package and then I just let it sit on the cabinet. Does the inside stay soft? No. If if I can hold off long enough. See, the issue is I really can't wait to eat them. So if I can hold off long enough, they really do, harden, and then they're a good thing.
Well, that was one hell of a call.
That was wonderful.
A friend of mine was recently about to throw out a bag of mini marshmallows, and I stopped her in her tracks and said, "Give them to me. I want them," and I put them in the freezer.
You really know how to live, let me tell you.
I did.
That was fabulous.
June, thank you very much.
That was amazing.
We have a GBH colleague who apparently is into Peeps.
Isn't it? We worked
David
with him.
Hasty.
We worked with him for 20 plus years. David Hasty. We
2
can
weeks
say who
ago,
it is.
he said, "I had the freshest Peeps I've ever had. It was a complete game changer.
Also pathetic.
Usually I consume my Peeps closer to Easter, but snacking them up right when they hit the store is where it is at."
You know, we
Jim.
didn't ask June, and we should have asked David if we had an opportunity. If people are so into Peeps, do they eat them year-round, or they just wait so that it's a special treat around Easter?
If you look at these stories, Christopher Muether's story talks about how they're very ranked very poorly among Easter candies. People don't like them.
What's number
Equally
one?
insulting was a 24 best and worst Easter candies survey by this website, the Candy Store. And once again, Peeps are down at the bottom of the list. You know what people like, even though you think of it as a Halloween candy and not an Easter candy?
Reese's.
That's correct.
Is that really true?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, favorite Easter candy. Poor Peeps didn't even make the cut when DoorDash released a list of America's favorite Easter candies. No Peeps whatsoever.
877-301-8970. We're talking Peeps, of course. Jordan, you're in JP. Welcome.
Thank you. I've been listening to you guys almost every day for years, and I can't believe that the first opportunity I call in is about Peeps of all things.
Those are my favorite moments.
Thank you, Jordan.
Honest to
I
God.
have
Go ahead.
strong feelings about it, and I had to weigh in. But,
Please.
The previous caller was right. You have to age them. You have to you could pop a little hole in them, get them some air, give them about a week to age, and then they're nicely crispy. But what's nice about them is that they come around once a year. So I'm not a huge sweet tooth, but when you do get them, they're a special thing. It's like the McRib. You got to get it while they're available.
Jordan, did you use the word age when you were describing what you do with a peep?
Yeah.
Age.
Yeah, it's like a fine wine.
A lot of people agree with you, Jordan. We just got another text from Sheila from Littleton. Says the staler, the better.
I don't get
The
it.
better. And
Yeah, there you go. Crunchy on the
You
outside,
sound like a
soft on
happy
the
man,
inside.
Jordan. Thank you much for your call.
Enjoy your
Call us
peeps
again.
this Easter.
Bye. That was his first call, by the way.
There's another person who just said they made a Peeps diorama as well.
Where?
During the weekly protests in Wareham over the No Kings rally.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you use the peeps for? And then,
I got it wrong. She made a Peeps diorama of the protests down in Wareham. And she's going to go pick it up at the library.
Do you think that person brags to all their friends that they did that? That I made a peeps diorama of the No Kings rally? I mean, people, I have to say, the people who are calling are totally into this, which it's great if you really like something, I guess.
Some couple of people that are not fans of some of the present politicians think that if you could look into RFK Jr. and Trump's head, they would find them filled with peeps.
That's possible. By the way, I always regret doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. When our staff highlights for us that they have exclusive sound of something, you know it's going to be a disaster. This will be a disaster. This is allegedly exclusive sound of me enjoying a peep. I guess let's hear it. Okay. That's actually not horrible. Okay, no, that's fine. Thank you. For those who don't know, that is the woman in that newscast who is crushing grapes with her feet, and she falls out of the bucket, and it's horrible, and everybody laughs at her. It's really horrible.
Listen to this, Jim.
Yeah.
Peep jousting apparently is a thing.
Yeah.
What you do is you put two peeps in the microwave facing each other with a toothpick in each, and you watch them joust in the microwave.
That's really fun.
Before they
Has anybody
explode.
not put a peep in a microwave?
No, it's a
if
mess.
you put a
It's a
peep in a
terrible
microwave, raise your
mess.
hand. Nobody? Even that
Because you'd
is
have to
stunning.
clean out the microwave for like an
So
hour.
what? I mean, have a thrill in your life.
That's
So you have to clean the
Nothing
damn
like
thing.
pieces of
By the way, what they
marshmallow.
do is they start. It's great. If you watch through the glass, they contort a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they expand, and then they explode, and then they contract after they've exploded. I mean, obviously, there's not a lot to contract, but it's really worth a little bit of fun there.
Did you know that the Washington Post in its finer days used to have the Washington Post Peeporama?
No.
Apparently they did that too. I
Apparently,
did not know
none
that.
of our audience read that.
Okay,
Let's go to
Lynn
Lynn in
from
Vermont.
Vermont.
Hello, Lynn.
Oh, hi. I was the person who was jousting with the marshmallows.
Oh, great. Well, tell us more.
A peep joust.
Well, it's an office entertainment at lunchtime.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure the window is nice and clean in your microwave.
Sure.
And it's a very short-lived thrill. But, yes, they poke at each other, and it's very sadistic. Crazy. But the best thing is make your own marshmallows. And this might be an historical call today because RFK is going to be banning all the colors and all the peeps.
That's right.
So scap them up while you can.
Well, you can.
And and you know the sickest thing is they come out at every holiday with the more bizarre decorations. It's just crazy that our world is looking for this kind of entertainment.
Yeah, it is.
Opening day at Fenway. I've got to go babysit.
Good luck.
Oh, good for you.
Enjoy it. Lynn, thank you very much. I'm not sure what the connection was, but thank you for that.
Judy from Northfield, she reports that she has noticed shrinkflation in the peeps this year, Jim.
Fewer in the package?
Smaller
peeps?
Smaller peeps.
Yeah.
They've shrunk. Let's go to Katie in Scituate. Hi, Katie.
Hello, Katie.
Hi, guys. It's your favorite aggressive cleaner.
Oh, hey, Katie. How are you?
I'm holding up. I have all the neighborhood children at my house today because it's Good Friday. So happy Good Friday.
Well,
But I will be toasting Peeps over the fire pit when my friends come to pick up their children with a glass of wine in my hand, and you can make them into s'mores.
That's right. You can make them into s'mores.
Was Christopher Muther supporting that or just observing that?
He
That
thought it was.
apparently
He
that's
thought
what-
it was pimp cruelty.
Oh, because it's not.
Yes,
and it's also
I
not
have
pure.
5 kids that want to say hi to Jim and Marjorie.
Who?
Oh, hi. The children want to say hi. Hi.
What do you guys say?
Hi.
1, 2, 3.
Oh my God. Well, that's a high
If
point
you
for
want to
us.
send back,
Yes.
if
What?
you want to send back up, I don't know if I can make it till 5 o'clock.
No, we don't want to send back up. Good luck to you, Katie. It sounds like you're doing a great
Yeah.
job. Thank you very much for your call. I appreciate it.
He
All
thinks
little kids, future listeners.
Christopher
are not.
Muther thinks it's cruel to set the Peeps on fire. That you're better off just biting their heads off and killing them quickly.
Are you? I don't even know. Do you do s'mores in the summer, kind of thing?
Sometimes. I
mean,
was
I
never
love a
huge into
graham cracker,
s'mores. I
and
was
I
never
like
that big into
chocolate
s'mores.
melted, but the marshmallow thing is a real problem. You
You
know?
don't like marshmallows?
Well, this is a marshmallow. If you like marshmallows, why don't you? This is a marshmallow.
Because they're little creepy Peeps. I found a little creepy.
Wait, you're really talking? I thought you were joking before. You see, your problem is not the taste. Your problem is that you think you're biting a chicken's
little
head
eyes,
off.
little eyes, little nose, little ears. You know, they look like little people. They look like
That
little
is
people.
really troubling.
Yeah, it's a
Margaret.
little. Well, you know, I think Christopher
Okay.
Muther was with me on that, Jim.
Peter in Ludlow, I think you're it. You got a minute. Go.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't like Pete's myself, but my father, who is a professor and artist, loved them, and he was a brilliant person.
Well, how do you explain
just
that?
to update you on something.
Yeah.
Just to update you on something.
Please. What?
The Peeps are available all year round, depending on the holidays. They're making them now seasonal. They make them orange for Halloween.
Oh, that's troubling.
They have them for Christmas also.
How would your father feel about that?
He didn't mind it because they're around more often.
I see. Okay.
Well, what he would do is he would like them fresh, but his favorite thing is like that other woman said earlier. He would like to go to Target after the holiday and buy everything up that they had, and get it for half price or 75% off.
Yeah, I like a good discount too, but I want the thing that I'm getting a discount on. Well, Peter, thank you. I'm sorry it wasn't passed along from generation to generation. Thank you for your call. We appreciate it.
I would say that we had a lot of Peep enthusiasts that called us this
I think
hour.
it was more of a pro-Peep crowd.
It was more pro-Peep. I think it was definitely a pro-Peep crowd. Okay, but enough for the Peeps. We have to move on. The show's over. Thank you very much
is
for listening
over.
to another edition of Boston Public Radio and 89.7 GBH. Thanks to people that came down
Thank
to the
you all
Boston
for
Public
coming.
Library. I hope you had a good time. You can keep up with us 24/7 way of our podcast or check out our TikTok page at Boston Public Radio. On Monday, we're going to check in with two Black business owners, Ricardo Pierre Lewis and Rose Starum, about their luck getting contracts in the city of Boston.
They've been with us a bunch of times.
It has been difficult, even though they're great business people, to get those contracts. Plus, Mitchell Garabedian, he was one of the most prominent lawyers in the Catholic sex abuse case. Well, he's going to come talk to us with a survivor of the scandal in Rhode Island, which has just been reported all about in the Boston Globe.
And I bumped into Mitchell the other night. He says it is not over here either. We'll hear from him
he's
about that.
he's relentless about the sex abuse scandal in the Catholic Church. MIT economist John Gruber on the long-term economic impacts of the war in Iran. Our crew, Zoe Matthews, Nicole Garcia, Hannah Laws, additional support from Ronan Keene, our engineer John the Claw Parker, our executive producer Jenny Bologna. Thank you very much to all of them. Plus, our BPL staff, Maddie Geyer, Patrick Lally, Bill Francis, Juan Jose Cadena, our host of the Newsfeed Cafe and across the street at the Lenox Hotel. Thanks to them as well. The Curiosity Desk with Edgar B. Hurt III starts right after us, and then the Culture Show's Week in Review starts at 2 o'clock, and the Culture Show gang is going to be right here at the Boston Public Library, so if you can, stick around. You'll see all the gang. Jared Bowen doing the Culture Show Week in Review. I'm Marjorie Egan.
I'm Jim Browning.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you can tune in on
all.
Monday and have a great weekend.
From the stories of centuries past to discoveries that will define our future, How Did We Get Here's, how-tos, and more. Journey with us down the rabbit hole on the Curiosity Desk. Coming up next on GBH 89.7.
Support for GBH comes from you and the Worcester Youth Orchestras, celebrating 78 years of youth music. Auditions for grades 3 through 12 open in May for all programs, including the UK Touring Symphony Orchestra. Learn more at worcesteryouthorchestras.org. And Atlantic Design Center by Eldridge Lumber and Hardware, committed to helping customers achieve their vision for a new kitchen or bathroom and guiding them from design to completion, with showrooms in York and Portland, Maine. AtlanticDesignCTR.com.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
I'm Jeremy Siegel, in for Edgar B. Herwick III. Today on the Curiosity Desk, right now tens of thousands are descending on Boston for a massive anime convention, celebrating Japanese pop culture in all its forms. We were curious, what is there to learn about joy and community from these fiercely loyal fans? Then, at least a few of those at the convention are going to need to use the facilities at some point. Lucky for them, we've got the authority on public bathrooms in Boston here with some pointers. One curveball, they'll be contending with the thousands of baseball fans also in town for opening day. We'll ask one reporter who is live at Fenway if he's tried their new lobster poutine yet. Then it's a quick trip to the moon and back for this month's edition of the Stargazer's Guide. That's all ahead this hour on the Curiosity Desk on GBH 89.7.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Herbst. U.S. officials say an F-15 fighter jet was shot down over Iran, and numerous videos show what appear to be American search and rescue efforts to find the crew of the plane. NPR's Jeff Brumfield has more.
One video shows 2 helicopters and a refueling aircraft flying low over Iran. NPR was able to geolocate the video to a bridge in Khuzestan province. Numerous other videos posted online appear to show what look like similar aircraft flying in the region. Iranian state media posted photos of wreckage from what appears to be an American F-15 fighter aircraft. The F-15 carries a crew of 2. In March, another American fighter jet was struck by an Iranian missile. The pilot in that incident sustained shrapnel injuries but was able to return safely to base. Jeff Brumfield, NPR News.
The U.S.-Israeli war in Iran is putting President Trump at odds with European leaders who have refused to intervene. Some won't let the U.S. use their airspace or military bases. That has Trump again threatening to pull the U.S. out of NATO. Dan Baer is a former ambassador to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe during the Obama administration and is now with the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. He says Trump's comments undermine the core of NATO: trust.
What NATO needs in order to work, in order to be effective to defend U.S. interests, is for allies to know and to be able to believe that an attack on one is an attack on all. And they need to know that, and adversaries need to know that. So when President Trump undermines that trust, he weakens NATO and makes it less able to defend U.S. interests as well as the interests of all other allies.
That's Dan Baer speaking on NPR's Morning Edition. UPS says it will continue offering drivers thousands of dollars to resign across the rest of the country. This comes after the delivery giant pulled the program offer in 13 central region states, including Michigan, Illinois, and Kentucky. From member station WABE, Marlon Hyde has more.
UPS says its latest buyout program, where eligible drivers can accept $150,000 to resign, was well received by its employees. Over 30 Teamster local unions in its central region filed grievances against the Atlanta-based company, claiming the offer violates their contract. In a statement, UPS denies these claims and continues to engage with the local unions in the central region. In February, a federal judge rejected the Teamsters' request to block the workforce reduction program. UPS says it will continue to offer buyouts to drivers in the remaining states as it moves to slash 30,000 positions this year. For NPR News, I'm Marlon Hyde in Atlanta.
And you're listening to NPR News From Washington.
Good afternoon. With the latest from the GBH Newsroom, I'm Henry Santoro. The state's Cannabis Control Commission is this close to disciplining the owners of a marijuana dispensary in Dudley, Mass. 3 years after a whistleblower alleged that the facility was dispensing pot that was harvested from an illegal grow center in a rental home in Webster. The Telegram and Gazette reports a spokesperson for the state's Cannabis Control Commission said in a statement last week that the commission's investigation into the matter is now at a point where enforcement is pending, but the agency cannot comment any further at this time. And federal health officials are warning of the dangerous sedative known as Rhino Trank, which is being sold on the streets by drug dealers. And they say the highest concentrations of it have been detected here in the Northeast. Mass Live reports the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued a health advisory on Tuesday alerting to the rapid proliferation of the drug, which is a veterinary tranquilizer for dogs. In addition to Rhino Trank, it's also known as Mead or Dex, and it's approved for sedation and pain relief in dogs, but is not authorized for human use. The CDC adds that the Rhino Trank that they're seeing is being made in underground labs and not coming from pharmaceutical sources. Well, don't look now, but it is opening day at Fenway Park. The Sox, who've lost 5 in a row, play the Padres. It's a 2:10 start. Newsflash Nancy tells us if you're going to the game, dress like you're going skiing. In the forecast, this Good Friday, partly cloudy, 60 if we're lucky today. It is 52 in Boston right now. This is GBH News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. RWJF is a national philanthropy working toward a future where health is no longer a privilege, but a right. Learn more at rwjf.org.
You're listening to the Curiosity Desk on GBH. I'm Jeremy Siegel, in for Edgar B. Herwick III. We are streaming live at youtube.com/GBH News. And hey, mark your calendars. Next Friday, April 10th, this show is making its Boston Public Library debut. We're going to talk about another event happening today. Anime Boston is underway today through Sunday. This massive 3-day convention draws tens of thousands of people to the Heinz Convention Center to celebrate Japanese culture. That is anime, manga, the music, the cosplay, and so much more. With so many dedicated fans coming together in one place, it has us wondering, what is it like to be part of an intense fandom, to be linked to millions of people around the world by your diehard love for one very specific niche thing? Two people with some expertise on this join us now. Omega Au is the convention chair of Anime Boston 2026, and Mel Stanfill is an associate professor of English at the University of Central Florida who studies fandom. Hello to both of you. We're excited to talk with you. So, Omega, I want to start with you. What is Anime Boston?
Anime Boston is a fan-run and fan community where we, like you had mentioned, like where we have a lot of like different guests coming in, and everyone's kind of like joining together about with their love of anime, love of the Japanese culture, whether it be fashion or cosplay or music. And it's not just about like anime and manga anymore. It's what you've, what they have discovered from those type of things. So the fashion as well.
Let's take a little bit of a step back and talk about anime itself. For someone who's like never touched an anime book, who's never been into manga in any way, how do you describe what it is?
It is a form of storytelling, really, of like an animated storytelling, very similar to a lot of people see like the cartoon and they think that it's, they think that it's not for adults and it's just for kids, but really it's just a medium. For more storytelling of different types, like fantasy, romance, different worlds, sci-fi, all of that.
Dragon Ball Z, that was the first anime that I got really into as a kid and still enjoy as an adult. So Tell me about the beginnings of Anime Boston. There's obviously been like a huge anime culture, especially in Japan, but also migrating to the US over like the past few decades. How did you start this convention that gets people together, not just from Boston, not just from Massachusetts, but like all around New England, the Eastern Seaboard? How did it start?
Anime Boston started in 2003, and really it was a group of people that were equally passionate about anime and manga, and they didn't really have a type of venue to kind of express that and like share that type of interest. And then we became a convention, much like other conventions of during that time, like Otakon, Anime Expo, which is one of the largest anime conventions as well on the West Coast. And from there, we started to grow the community, and over the years, as the community grew, so did our fan base, so did all the content and other guests, knowing that this is a place to kind of gather. We've also were able to invite a lot of like prestigious Japanese guests overseas who may have not been able to come to America in any other revenue at that point, to share that experience as well with everyone.
What does it look like at the convention itself? I mean, you just came from the opening ceremony of this convention, right? Like, I've in years past been around the city when Anime Boston happens, and like, if somebody's seen it, they know what I'm talking about. Folks listening might have seen this and not even know what I'm talking about. But like, I said the word cosplay earlier, which is like putting on not just the outfits, but like really getting into the character. Being the character that you love in anime and in other things. So you see thousands of people going through the city wearing wild, really impressive costumes. What's it like inside of the convention center during Anime Boston?
A lot like that. So we have people of all different types of, we have all different types of people coming in to the convention, and like the minute that you walk in, you see all the banners from all of our sponsors that we have, trying to be kind of like promoting what they're doing there, as well as trying to like engage with our audience as well. And it's really a lot about like the community of it too, because year over year, a lot of people come back. They may have met friends based on, if you like, say those cosplays that you had mentioned, or they have the similar interests and they gather and then they kind of like become a group. So when you go in, the minute that you go in, you almost feel like home already, right? Like you're coming back to a place. I was actually just saying this to someone. It's kind of like when you go to holidays, go away to see your family for the holidays. That's what it feels like.
That idea of home and family is like such a core component, I think, of fandom, which we've really seen take off over the past couple of years with online forums and things like that. I want to bring you, Mel Stanfill, Associate Professor of English at UCF, who studies fandoms, not just anime fandoms like we're seeing this weekend in Boston, but super fandom has become a phenomenon for everything. I mean, from like the Marvel Cinematic Universe to Taylor Swift, Swifties, I think is a term that people are going to, hear popping around all the time. Mel, how has fandom, super fandom, become such a thing recently?
Well, fandom is a lot older, right? Media fandom, as we know it, starts with Star Trek. People argue that the first fandom was actually Sherlock Holmes fandom, right, in the 19th century. But I think in terms of the increased visibility in popular culture or in mainstream culture to people who are not already fans, right? That really takes off with the internet, with the things that fans were doing amongst themselves becoming visible to non-fans, becoming something that is that media industries are aware of, and that the ways that fans can be a really loyal consumer base and very consistently will show up for your products if you treat them well and provide good, texts that they like to consume. I think those things have really supercharged it. But it's definitely, has a much longer history. Cosplay has a much longer history, all of these things. But the internet has a big impact on it.
When you brought up Star Trek, that makes so much sense that some people say this starts there. And I think Star Trek is one of those things that's synonymous with conventions like we're seeing this weekend with Anime Boston, how do you sort of mesh like the two elements of intense fandom, which I think are like online conversations, think Reddit threads, think Twitter and things like that, but then these gatherings where you have thousands and thousands of people coming together to celebrate something. How have we seen this culture evolve in recent years with all of that?
For sure. And, historically, the convention was the only time you could get together and interact with people in real time. And so the internet has expanded that, right? Now you can do that. You can hop on Discord with your friends who are in your fandom and interact with them in real time. Whereas, historically, interactions were either only periodically you would have a convention, you could all get together, or it would be like through the mail, that sort of thing. People would physically mail zines to each other, or in the context of Japanese dojinshi, which are, fan comics, right? Those used to have to be physically mailed around. And so those practices are much more frequent, right? They're much more sustained relationships where people can have interactions, in real time on a regular basis. So that's there, but I think also that doesn't mean that the in-person events aren't important, and the in-person events are often people who know each other from online, and so it's not a sharp division. It's often the same relationships are happening in both spheres, but they do kind of serve different purposes.
Does that ring true for you,
I was about
Omega?
to say, yeah, like I feel like the the in-person events have been growing more and more because of being able to interact, finding that connection online.
Did it start there with you, with anime? Like, were you an online fan and then this became an in-person
No,
thing?
I actually it was around middle school, and I was all about manga. It was manga that I was introduced to from one of my local libraries. They had carried a couple of series in there, and from there I started to learn more, read more about the mangas, and then get the Japanese magazines. Then they also had advertisements, and then it just kind of grew from there as well. And then a lot of people that I know now is from some of those communities, just having where there was the basis wasn't, the internet wasn't there for it, so you had to meet in person, so that you meet the friends, you have that connection as well. Yeah.
Mel, I want to talk about how super fandom culture has kind of shifted, I think, from a very niche thing to the mainstream. I feel like a lot of that has happened over the past couple decades, especially with like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with Star Wars making not just movies, but like TV show after TV show. Taylor Swift, as I mentioned earlier, it's become this thing where it isn't just like, oh, I have an uncle who goes to Star Trek conventions, but now interacting with anything that's hugely popular has almost becoming a part of fan communities, especially among Gen Z, among Gen Alpha. Like, how have we seen this kind of generational shift play out?
I think part of the story there is that media industries have realized that fans are so valuable, and so the ways that media companies used to make fun of their own fans, they don't do that as often anymore. They still do sometimes, but there's been more of an active recruitment and sort of saying, hey, you guys are great. You will always be there for us. We want to encourage you, and sort of that authorization in some ways from, media industries, not blanketly so, but, more frequently than we used to see, has had this mainstreaming effect. But I also think that there was a huge surge during the pandemic of people who did not have the ability to do in-person, social activities, and they found fandom. And that would be the age group, right, that was just right to start moving into their middle school, high school years, where they suddenly have this online interaction that is in a more important place in their life suddenly than it would have necessarily been. It grew faster for those people. And so I think that would account for some of the intensification we've seen.
I want to talk about another interesting facet of this, which is where fan culture almost moves beyond just being like fan analysis and conversation, but actually starts influencing the object that people are fans of. I remember, ages ago when the OC was airing, and that TV show is like a, teenage soap opera basically. But when that was airing, it was kind of at the launch of internet culture. And I remember hearing the series writers talk about how they were responding in real time to like what people were saying online. Same thing with Game of Thrones a few years ago. You had the writers of that show show, seeing Reddit threads with fan theories and maybe that like potentially influencing what they're writing. Have we reached this kind of weird point where it's not just the creators of content are creating fandom, but there's this like back and forth sort of feedback loop with these intense fan bases?
Definitely. And it really starts in the mid-90s when the internet comes around, that media workers did not know what to do with that, right? It sort of appeared at a moment, and then the culture of media industry had to catch up with it. And so there has been some, there's been relationships formed, but there's also a hesitation because of sort of intellectual property concerns of if I use an idea that I get from a fan, are they going to come and yell at me and try to sue or whatever? And, the media industry is going to win that lawsuit because they have the resources, but they don't want to deal with it. And so one of the things we've seen more intensively than those sorts of direct effects on texts is the parasocial relationships where there is, moderate kinds of interaction, occasionally getting a reply on social media, sharing information about your personal life from not only stars, but also people like writers and producers who were historically behind the scenes, are now becoming celebritized in that way. And there is building those relationships and building that, again, sense of commitment and sense of loyalty from fans. And so we're seeing more of that kind of social media interaction that is not necessarily content-based because of the challenges of content influences, but more about emotional relationships.
Some of the celebrities of anime culture are in Boston this weekend for the convention. Omega, before I let you go, I'm curious, like, what are you most looking forward to? What's the highlight of Anime Boston for you this weekend?
So this weekend, we actually, kind of relating to that, we have a light novelist of one of the popular series right now from Apothecary Diary. She's going to be here this weekend, and she'll be in really cute mascot costume the whole weekend as well. So we have a lot of people excited about that.
What's the mascot costume?
It's like it's like an animal, and I don't know how to explain the type of animal it is. It's almost like a cat hedgehog type of situation, minus the spiky stuff on the back. So she will be there. And we also have, one of our other Japanese guests that's coming tonight, Yoko Kanno, who is a big known composer for a lot of anime soundtracks, such as Cowboy Bebop and Ghost in the Shell. So that concert's happening tonight as well. So we're very excited about those things.
You're listening to The Curiosity Desk. We've been speaking with Anime Boston's Omega Au and UCSF's Mel Stanfill about fan culture, how people build community around media in this weekend's Anime Boston convention. Omega, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
And Mel, thank you so much for sharing your expertise on this.
Thanks for having me.
By the way, if you want more content on fandoms, check out the excellent How We Love podcast series from our colleagues at Under the Radar. Coming up, public bathrooms are not just a convenience, they are a necessity, whether or not Anime Boston is in town. Google just started tracking them, but one intrepid reporter has been on this beat for years. Stay with us. You'll hear more about that. You are listening to The Curiosity Desk on GBH.
I'm Jared Bowen. Tune into The Culture Show for a daily discourse on the arts and culture scene, and for what's always a conversation about the state of the arts, with the most interesting thinkers, innovators, and creators in the region and beyond. From the poets, to the painters, to the power brokers who hold the purse strings. That's today at 2 on 89.7 GBH.
Support for our programs comes from you and Liberty Mutual Insurance. Liberty believes progress happens when people feel secure and exists to help people embrace today and pursue tomorrow. Learn more at libertymutual.com. And Bernadine Sung Megason at Dream Mega International Realty, dedicated to helping buyers and sellers across Greater Boston, offering market insight and guidance through each step of the process. More at homesbybernadine.com.
You're listening to the Curiosity Desk on GBH. I'm Jeremy Siegel, in today for Edgar B. Herwick III. We are streaming live at youtube.com/GBH News. Springtime is here. It is once again actually kind of fun to be out and about in New England, whether it's but enjoying the city means occasionally having to navigate a scarcity of public bathrooms. Lucky for users of Google Maps, there is now a new feature that lets you search directly for available restrooms near you, the same way you would look for a gas station. Lucky for us, we've got someone who's been an authority on this subject long before Google engineers hopped on the bathroom bandwagon. Max Grinnell is a professor of urban studies and writing at MassArt. He's written multiple articles for Boston Magazine and Dig about this very topic. Max, thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to the Curiosity Desk.
I'm so glad to be here, Jeremy. Thank you.
So Google Maps has this new feature I mentioned to show you all the public bathrooms in your area. You've been following this issue, where public bathrooms are, how accessible they are in Boston for a while now. Where would you say Boston is at this point on public restrooms?
You know, I think there have been substantial improvements over the past few years. And I would say, and folks probably, and certainly tourists have seen this, you know, the basement bathrooms within Faneuil Hall, which were part of that, you know, major renovation a few years ago, some of the best in the city. Though I think when you go out to some of the larger, you know, signature green parks, there is some work to be done in that general kind of area. So moving forward, we hope.
Yeah, I'm thinking right now of, I think on the Common, they every once in a while, I'm not sure if they're always there, but have those sort of like, I describe them as luxe porta potties in a way. It's almost like a trailer where it's not permanent bathrooms, but they don't seem like temporary bathrooms. And that's good when you're in a pinch. So let's talk about like what makes a public bathroom a public bathroom. It doesn't have to be city run. You've kind of looked into like where you can actually find bathrooms if you're in a pinch all around the city. For you, what constitutes a public bathroom? What's your investigatory process for this?
I think, you know, you're looking for something because, and certainly when it comes to public spaces like parks or even, you know, quasi-public spaces like the recent addition in front of, the built Landmark Center with Time Out Boston, everything in front of it, is, you know, you're looking for accessibility, you know, ADA compliance. You're looking for extended hours. Cleanliness certainly kind of plays into that equation. And also just a sense that kind of anyone it would be welcome. So I think, you know, and you mentioned the Common, Jeremy, it's interesting because Charlie Gibson of the Gibson House in the Back Bay, probably listeners have toured it or heard about it. He was the one who spearheaded the building that is now a flower bakery on Boston Common to create one of the city's public bathrooms. So there is a long history in Boston of kind of these initiatives, though I feel like in some ways, and this is kind of one of the challenges of all cities during the pandemic, is some of these services were walked back. And I think my kind of firsthand investigation, you know, looking at some of the ones that are run on behalf of J.C. Decaux for the city, the public bathroom near City Hall, et cetera, you will still sometimes go out there and they will be closed, when you would expect, at least for posted hours. So I feel like, you know, and people always have the option of going to, you know, one of the BCYF centers, police and fire stations, which are great, but there are still gaps in that coverage as well.
This is something that I feel like I have a personal vested interest in. I mean, I guess everybody does. Everybody has to use the bathroom, but I'm a furious water drinker. I like going on long walks. And I also report internationally for GBH's global news program, The World. And I've gone to places like Japan and China where public bathrooms are taken very seriously. Like everywhere you're walking, you see signs that no matter what language you speak, you know there's a bathroom near you. And they're really clean. That's just not the case in the U.S., even though you mentioned we're making progress in Boston. You mentioned the whole like firehouse or police house or even public libraries or somewhere else I think of where like you might have a good chance to get in and be able to use the restroom. I remember doing some cursory research on this and finding that thing about like firehouses are places that you can sometimes expect to have bathrooms. Is that the case? Like if you show up to your local firehouse and say, hey, I've really got to go, are they supposed to let you use the bathroom there?
They're supposed to let you use the bathroom. Some of those facilities also still have payphones for a variety of reasons. Though I can say there were a couple times during the pandemic, I won't say at which facilities, but I was told, and this is not 2020 or 21, but 2022, that I was told I could not use them. So, again, maybe some things a case-by-case basis, but we would hope that everyone would be, welcome into those facilities as well. And there's, I was looking at the city of Boston's kind of wonderful kind of the Age Strong site where they list all the bathrooms. And it's interesting to note that there aren't currently any listed in Fenway, or Fenmore. And I think that that's one of those areas. I really got to credit the Emerald Necklace Conservancy for having the visitor center open for people to use the bathroom. But I would say on my wish list, a public fixed bathroom in the Fens would be a great place. If you think of all the students, all the visitors lining up to go to the MFA or the Gardner, I feel like that would be on my personal wish list, and I'm sure I'm not alone. It's a permanent bathroom.
We have a couple comments coming in from listeners. Sophie on YouTube says, it is true, we need more bathrooms. I agree with you, Sophie. Jill texted us, once upon a time, there was a freestanding, fully automatic bathroom toilet right outside the BPL. It was handy, and it was self-cleaning, but unfortunately, it is gone. Thank you, Jill, for your comment. Before I let you go, Max, I wanted to talk about not public bathrooms, but bathrooms that the public might be able to use. My father-in-law is actually famous in our family for always wanting to go into like every hotel he sees and pretend to be a guest, walk in and use it. I think a lot of people have the Starbucks experience too, where it's like, all right, I can pop into this Starbucks and use their bathroom. But that's not the case for everybody, right? It's not just problem solved. You can pop into a Starbucks.
Yeah, I mean, I think your father-in-law is right, and that's one of the things I always tell my students is if you're in a pinch, a hotel, which obviously they're privately owned businesses. I mean, these are places where I feel like you're a lot less likely to be questioned just by hospitality, and I feel like those are some of the best bets, particularly downtown. That's kind of a place that I would say is always. I feel like you will generally be welcomed, if not, welcomed at the best and perhaps tolerated if you're really in a pinch.
We've been speaking with Max Grinnell. He is a professor of urban studies and writing at MassArt. By the way, if you find yourself looking for a public bathroom near Copley Square next Friday, consider the Boston Public Library, where Edgar will be hosting his first live BPL show. No tickets needed for that, though we do recommend that you wash your hands. Stay with us. Just ahead, what is it like to be on the scene at Fenway Curiosity Desk? I'm Jeremy Siegel, in for Edgar B. Herwick III. It's cold, it's gray, it's damp, but if you ask a Red Sox fan, they will ball weather, because today is the home opener at Fenway Park. First pitch is about a half hour from now, and GBH's Craig Lemoult is right outside of the ballpark. Craig, it's great to see you. So where are you exactly right now?
Right now, I am on Lansdowne Street, and it is actually a beautiful day here. People are psyched. There's a ton of people here, huge crowds. Always a big deal on opening day, and I'll say I've covered opening day a number of years, and it gets a lot colder than this.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is fine. Like this actually. As I'm talking, the sun is just kind of peeking.
I can see it. Yeah,
here.
if you're able to watch, go to GBH News on YouTube so you can see Craig's view at Fenway. But the sun has literally come out as you're speaking to us.
Literally come out. It feels warm. It feels great. People are eating sausages. It's a good time here, We're going to head in and see the game shortly.
People are eating sausages. So, Craig, I know they have some new offerings on the Fenway menu this year. Have you gotten to try anything yet? Have you gotten to try I've heard there's going to be lobster poutine, which sounds incredible and incredibly gross to me. Have you tried it?
It is on the menu. I have not tried it myself. Is GBH going to pick up the tab for my lobster poutine?
If they don't, Craig, I personally will if you send me your Venmo after this interview.
I'll give it a try. I love lobster. I've never had it in the ballpark before, but I think I'm down for it. I will say that I have already had one hot dog from a vendor out here, so I'm getting off to a strong start. But totally open to the new offerings that they have.
You got a couple more hours to get something in you. Today is, of course, Good Friday. Are you noticing fewer people with sausages out and about than you have in years past?
You know, I certainly haven't seen it myself, but I did ask that question of this. Right over here, we have Harry's sausage stand. And I asked Harry himself about that. And he said, you know, it might be a slight dip. He's like, it's not the first time that opening day or even a game has fallen on Good Friday. So he seemed largely unconcerned about that. I thought, oh no, he's definitely going to be hurting today. But I think maybe that's a tradition that not as many people honor as used to. So he seemed unconcerned, and for him, it was a real celebratory day because, you know, this guy, he's here all season long. So he's just getting started, and he seemed pretty psyched about baseball coming back for sure, regardless of a slight dip perhaps for Good Friday.
We're talking to GBH's Craig Lemoult, who is reporting live from Fenway Park on opening day. Let's talk a little more about tradition, Craig. Fenway is, of course, home of many baseball traditions. What are some of your favorites, and what's different this year, aside from the new lobster poutine?
Yeah, besides the lobster, there are some new things. First of all, though, I mean, just opening day itself, I think, is a huge tradition. And, you know, I've been coming here, it's not a bad assignment, I'll say, to come here to Fenway Park on opening day. And I've done it a number of years. And for people, this day means spring. You know, no matter what the calendar says, no matter really even what the temperature is, this day, the home opener, is really the Boston's official start of spring for so many of the people here at Fenway Park. And I think, you know, just in general, there's something about being here at Fenway. I mean, you know, watching it on TV is great, right? Or listening to it on the radio, of course. But being here in this place, it's just, there's nothing quite like it. I've always really loved it here. And you know, just thousands and thousands of people have come out to celebrate. And to, you know, to watch the game and to sing Sweet Caroline in the 8th inning, which is a controversial song, I would say. A lot of Red Sox fans love it, but some of my friends, even at GBH, I won't name them, think that that's an inappropriate thing, that if we're losing a game, we should not be celebratory singing Sweet Caroline. So, you know, even traditions can be controversial. The new stuff, though, the big thing is ABS this year, right? So this is the first game at Fenway Park that will feature an automated system for calling balls and strikes. Now, I should say there's still umpires. I mean, umpires are still calling balls and strikes, but basically this is a backstop. And the players have the ability, that just the batters have the ability to challenge a call if they feel like it's happened in error. So each team starts off with 2 challenges. And I think that they challenge by tapping the top of their head, their helmet. That's how they signal that they'd like to challenge what they consider to be a bad call. If the player is right, then they retain their challenge. They still have that extra challenge. If they're wrong, they lose a challenge and they only have 2 for the whole game. And I've been talking to fans about that since I got here today. And there's a real difference in opinion about that. There are people, I'm kind of getting people right here. There are people who are real baseball traditionalists. I think maybe more than any other sport, maybe not. But people who love baseball, some people really just don't want to see any change whatsoever. And I talked to one guy who said, you know, he didn't like a lot of the rule changes that have happened in the last few years. They've done to speed up the game. The one I got to say I really agree with him is in the extra innings when we start with a ghost runner at second. Like, what is that? How did that guy get there? He doesn't belong there. It definitely speeds up the game, but some of us, I think, are against that. But other people I talked to here really like the idea of the system that they can challenge balls and strikes. They said, you know, it offers some level of accountability for the umpires. Reportedly, you know, the umpires hate it, right? Because it's second guessing them.
Putting them out of a job, yeah.
Well, I mean, they're still there, right? But it's like, I think there's this idea that like a strike zone is not an exact science, right? It's a little bit weird and it's called different ways. And once you put them in a place where they can be challenged like this, they're not happy about it. Is what I've read anyway. I haven't talked to any umpires myself yet about this, but I hope to. But that's a big change today. And the first time it happens here at Fenway Park, I think people are really going to react.
All right, we're gonna have to leave it there. That is GBH's Craig Lemoult reporting live from Fenway. Craig is getting an inside look from the dugout reporting today, and you can catch his reporting this afternoon on the full game on GBH's All Things Considered. We've been having a poll of folks on YouTube and whether they would try the lobster poutine at Fenway. We've definitely coming in at a low 20%. No way going strong at 80%. Craig, thank you so much for your time today.
Happy to join you. Have fun.
All right. If baseball is not your thing, then maybe the news this week from outer space is lighting you up. The Artemis astronauts have fired their engines towards the moon. But up next on the show, we're going to look out even further into the cosmos. Our monthly Stargazer's Guide is just ahead. This is the Curiosity Desk on GBH.
As homelessness increases in cities across the country, more and more people are staying at airports to avoid having to sleep on the street.
It's open 24 hours. There's food, there's shelter.
I'm Scott Detrow. We'll hear from an outreach team in San Francisco working to provide shelter and services on All Things Considered from NPR News.
Today at 4, here on GBH News 89.7.
For GBH comes from you.
And Brightbound, helping students as young as middle school identify their strengths, explore their passions, and navigate a path to a rewarding career. Learn more at BRITE-bound.org.
And Hammond Castle Museum presenting Eric Pape fantasy illustrations featuring over 100 works by the former Boston-based Golden Age artist, with many pieces unseen for nearly a century. On view April 3rd through 26th. Museum tours available, hammondcastle.org.
You're listening to the Curiosity Desk on GBH. I am Jeremy Siegel, in for Edgar B. Herwick III. We're streaming live at youtube.com/GBH News. Every month, the Curiosity Desk sets aside a little time to consider the cosmos above our head. Everything from stars, galaxies, and distant exoplanets to the moon, which is certainly in the news this week. Whether you're looking up through a telescope or presented conveniently in photo form on our YouTube live stream, it is an incredible time to be looking up. With us over Zoom, we are joined by astrophysicist Anjali Tripathi. She has worked at NASA, the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, and served in multiple White House administrations. Anjali, welcome back to the Curiosity Desk.
Thanks so much for having me, Jeremy.
All right, so we're going to talk about the moon today, but as we rocket around the sun, every night is slightly different when it comes to the set of stars above us. What can we see? What should people be looking up for right now or tonight?
All right, so, here we are on planet Earth, and if you look up high in the sky, you'll actually see Jupiter. It's been up there for the winter. It's still there now, but it's a little higher up in the sky than we're used to. But if you actually woke up early this morning, you would have actually seen Mercury east around sunrise, and that's something that it's in the morning sky now. We'll get it in the night sky later. But just after sunset, you can see Venus. So you've got 3 planets you can look for. Venus is west towards sunset. But of course, when you think about stargazing, you think about the stars and constellations. Mm-hmm. And so this month we've got Leo sort of over to the right of the Big Dipper. And Jeremy, do you know how to find Leo?
No, I am so bad at stargazing personally. I have absolutely no idea how to find Leo. Tell me.
That makes 2 of us. Even though I'm a professional astronomer, I am terrible at stargazing, to be honest. And so the way that you can think about it, Leo is the lion, and it's got this sort of backwards question mark. They call it the sickle, which is its head and mane. And so in there, it's just, again, a little bit to the right of the Big Dipper. And so if you see what looks like a backwards question mark at about the same height as in the sky as the Big Dipper, that's Leo. And one of the stars in there is Regulus, which is the heart of the lion. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but maybe to help you orient yourself while we're talking about the Big Dipper, there's a saying of following the handle of the Big Dipper and arc to Arcturus and then spike to Spica. And so
okay, I'm writing that down right now. That's easy to remember.
Totally, right? So Arcturus and Spica are these two bright stars. Arcturus is actually the fourth brightest star in the sky, and it's in the constellation Boötes, which is the herdsman. And that's one of the constellations that's up this month. Spica is in Virgo, the virgin or the maiden, depending on how you want to think about that, which is another constellation that's up this month. So you've got Virgo, Boötes, you've got Hercules, who you're probably more familiar with from Greek mythology, and Lyra, that are all going to be up in the eastern sky. And so you might be able to find, the square that's in Hercules' body, but it's probably easier to find the spring triangle, which is made up of Arcturus, that bright star that you can get to by following the handle of the Big Dipper. And then if you keep going, like I said, you get to Spica. And then the third star that makes that triangle is Regulus, that heart of the lion. So it might seem hard, but if you look out tonight in the southeast skies and see three bright stars, that's probably the spring triangle that you've got.
Okay, are these things that I'll be able to see tonight? I mean, it is a little cloudy in Boston, and I know we have light pollution, but everything you're referring to, including the planets, which I'd be really excited to spot those planets, are these things that you can see with the naked eye?
Absolutely. All of these are really bright. They've been seen since antiquity. It was probably easier to find them in antiquity because there was less light pollution, but you can still find these today. I would say if you want an added challenge beyond the spring triangle, you can make it a diamond, right? So if you add a fourth star, you change what you're looking at in the lion. So you look at Denebula, so it's a little closer. It makes an equilateral triangle with those other two, Arcturus and Spica. And then you look on the other side for a star called Cor Caroli. This makes a little diamond, and I went out last night to see here in LA what you could see in the sky, and I was able to see the spring triangle easily. I didn't succeed at the Great Diamond, but again, that might just be because I'm a horrible stargazer, to be honest. But it's pretty cool that this is actually highlighting one of the great things to see in the spring, because at the center of the Great Diamond is where we have all of the galaxies. Of course, there are galaxies, hundreds of billions of them out there in the universe, but there's a whole cluster of them right at the center of that Great Diamond, and that's called the Virgo cluster, which is the closest cluster of galaxies that we've got to Earth.
What's a cluster of galaxies?
All right, so question for you, Jeremy. What's a galaxy?
Oh, you have me right there. This is just showing how bad I am at astrophysics. Tell me what a galaxy is. I don't have the definition. Let's hear it.
This is not a being bad at it. It's helping to build up to a cluster, right? So a galaxy is a collection of stars, gas, dust, dark matter, right? Okay. So it's just 100 billion stars, you got yourself a galaxy. And now if you just start piling those galaxies together, they make up a cluster. So it's not a very technical term in terms of, it's got a new name or something. We just say it's a cluster of galaxies. And that's this big gravitationally bound thing, 10 to the 15 times the mass of the sun. And so you've got lots of stars, lots of dark matter. And so when we talk about Virgo cluster, right, we're talking about something that's about 50 million light years away. So it's pretty far. But it's got lots of galaxies that we can see really clearly, even image the black hole at the heart of one of them using radio telescopes all across the Earth. And so as an astronomer, I get really excited about galaxy clusters because there's all kinds of things you can test with them, right? With the black hole picture, you can test gravity. We can even test out how dark matter works. There are pictures that you look at of galaxy clusters in X-ray light versus regular light, and you see things don't quite line up. And we think that might be because dark matter is passing through itself invisibly, whereas visible matter like you and me bumps into things, and we can't just be like Casper the Ghost going through something.
You're listening to the Curiosity Desk on GBH. We're talking with astrophysicist Anjali Tripathi about everything going on out there in the universe this April. So Anjali, right now, we could not go on with you without at least touching on the Artemis 2 mission. We have astronauts in space on their way to the moon. 4 NASA astronauts are rocketing towards it. What is their view of the sky of space like right now?
Yeah, so they're going to see the same April skies that you and I will see, but they'll have a better view because they're not just stuck in Boston. They've got all of the Earth to cover. And so even though the sun is still blocking out part of the sky, they can still look for that great diamond and a lot of other beautiful sights. But of course, what they will get to see that you and I will not get to see with our own eyes is the far side of the moon, which is something that very few human eyes have seen. It's kind of remarkable that they'll get to see it. And I'm really excited that they'll get to see the whole moon just within their window, not just a piece of it out the side.
Okay, so the far side of the moon, I'm familiar with the term the dark side of the moon, probably because of Pink Floyd. What's the difference between the dark side of the moon and the far side of the moon? Are they the same thing?
So we talk about the far side of the moon often with the term dark side, but we use the term dark in the same way we talk about dark matter, in that it's not seen by us here on Earth. But actually, if you're on the dark side of the moon, or the far side of the moon, you're actually still getting sunlight. You get about 14 days consistently of daylight, of sunlight, and then 14 days of darkness. So it's just here on Earth, we see, the sun and the darkness of space every 24 hours. But there, you're actually seeing it over the course of a lunar month. And so the dark side is a little bit of a misnomer. But I will give you, as an astronomer, we do talk about it being radio dark, because that's one place where you don't get the radio signals that are going through Earth's atmosphere bothering you if you're on that side of the moon.
So nobody on that side of the moon is going to be hearing the Curiosity Desk anytime soon.
Probably not, but it'll be good for doing some science.
While I have you expanding my astrophysics knowledge, I'm curious, the moon rotates sort of how the Earth does, right? It's not just going around, but it's literally spinning. So why is there a part of the moon that we never see if it's spinning around?
So the moon is what we call tidally locked to Earth. So back in the day, the moon was sort of this freewheeling molten ball sort of near the Earth. And the Earth just kept pulling on it through gravity. And the moon fought back, but in time it got kind of tired. Of course, I'm anthropomorphizing a little bit, but the idea is that over time, the same face of the moon sort of locked into orbit around the Earth. So every time the moon makes one rotation around the Earth, it actually also spins on its axis one time. And this phenomenon of tidally locked moons, where we always see the same side, is actually seen on all the other giant moons in the solar system. So this is actually a really common phenomenon.
These astronauts heading to the far side of the moon, this is not the first time that we're going to the far side of the moon, right?
This is not. All of the Apollo missions, went past the moon, and so they actually saw the far side. But this will be the first time that they're seeing the entire disk of the moon. They'll be, I think, about 4,000 miles above the surface. And so they can take pictures. They've got Nikon DSLRs that they can image it. But we actually got our first images of the dark side of the moon, or the far side of the moon. Now, you've got me saying dark side, Jeremy. We first saw the far side in 1959 with the Russian Luna 3 satellite. So they had tried a couple lunar satellites, and this was the first one that actually got there. And there have been a lot of milestones since. So human eyes have seen it with the Apollo missions. We have lots of NASA missions like the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter that take these beautiful high-resolution images that even show you the Apollo landing sites. And then, of course, in recent years, there's all kinds of other milestones, like the Chinese actually brought back about 2 kilograms of material from the far side of the moon to Earth in 2024. So they landed this in Mongolia. People have been studying it ever since.
So we never see the far side of the moon, or we personally don't. These astronauts and these rovers and these cameras get to see them. What's different about it? What does it look like? Because I think everybody has an image of the moon in their head, but that's, of course, the side of the moon that we see. What does it look like over there?
Yeah, when you see the moon, we often talk about the man in the moon with the dark spots that are actually molten lava from ancient volcanoes on the moon. Because whether or not it looks that way now, the moon once was this magma ocean world. And so when you look at the far side of the moon, though, you don't actually see any dark spots. You just see a lot of craters, and it's actually pretty bright. And this has been some of the biggest surprises of looking at the moon in this past century, because it's created what we call the far side highlands problem, which is, why does it look like that? What's going on?
And we don't know yet?
Well, so there are lots of theories about what's going on. So we actually find there are lots of differences between the near side and the far side of the moon, Jeremy. On the near side, the crust is a little bit thinner, and people used to think, oh, well, it must be because it's thinner, you can have more lava bursting through. But it also turns out you have different elements. You've got some more radioactive elements that keep things warm on the near side rather than the far side of the moon. And so best we can tell, part of what explains what makes these two sides different is just the things that we see. It seems to explain that, okay, well, if you had a warmer side and things were a little bit easier to get through with hot lava, maybe that explains what we see. But we're still actually trying to understand what's going on. And so this is where looking at all the data and samples that we're getting back. And, the astronauts might see all kinds of things that we can't see from our telescopes and satellites. Just like when they went to the surface of the moon with Apollo, they actually saw orangish glass, which ended up being volcanic glass on the soil of the moon, which nobody had actually imaged before. So the mystery of the far side of the moon continues, and we're actually really excited to keep studying it with all these missions.
You've given some fascinating nuggets of the moon history, lunar history. I don't know what the proper term is for that, including the magma, the moon getting locked in place when it's heading around the Earth. Where did this all begin? Do we know how the moon formed?
Yeah, so, just wind back the time machine about 4.5 billion years ago, and you had this object about the size of Mars called Theia crash into Earth. And as it crashed through, it took off some of the material of Earth with it, and it all just was in this cloud around the Earth, this sort of disk. And it, of course, coalesced in time. It was sort of spinning around. And so that big ball of hot leftover stuff formed into what we now know of. Sort of plays into that question of the near side and the far side being different, because we thought, oh, we came out of some of the material left over from Earth, so that's why we're similar. But it turns out there are a lot more similarities than we expected. And so people are actually rethinking whether this giant impact actually explains it after all. But for right now, that's the leading theory.
We've been speaking with Anjali Tripathi. She is an astrophysicist who's worked at NASA, the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, and served in multiple White House administrations. Anjali, thank you so much for being here. This was a fascinating conversation.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
All right, we're joined now by Jared Bowen of The Culture Show. He is at the Boston Public Library, where The Culture Show will be broadcasting live. Jared, since we've been talking so much about the dark side of the moon, and you are The Culture Show after all, what's your Pink Floyd thoughts here? You a lover?
How could you not be? I love all arts and culture, Jeremy. By the way, great to see you.
It's great to see you as well. Thank you.
Thursday morning edition reunion that we're having right
now. So what's happening on the Curiosity Desk today?
We're on the Culture Show.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we just been through the Curiosity Desk. What's happening on the Culture Show?
That's right. On the Culture Show, we're going to be talking about all manner of theft that seems to be happening in Europe right now, from major artworks that were recently stolen from a museum to a whole bunch of chocolate in the form of KitKats that has disappeared in Europe. We'll stay on chocolate to talk about the Reese's formula change for Reese's peanut butter cups and what that means and how it may be going back. And speaking of coming back, we have Celine Dion, who announced this week that she's going to return to the stage. As we know, she's been quite ill. It was documented in a really fascinating Amazon documentary. So it'll be great to see her before audiences again in Paris starting in the fall.
We have to back up a little bit, Jared. All of those KitKats stolen, and we have no idea where they are?
Not yet, but we on the Culture Show in our Week in Review will share how you can be part of the recovery of those pieces, because they have found a way to track them down. If only they could find that way to track down the Gardner Museum paintings and other, but their formula isn't necessarily going to work for artwork.
That is Jared Bowen of The Culture Show. Thank you so much, Jared, and we're looking forward to hearing the show.
Thank you.
And by the way, a reminder that the Curiosity Desk will be live at the Boston Public Library a week from today. That is next Friday, April 10th, and Edgar B. Herwick III will be back and hosting then. The Curiosity Desk is produced by Aidan Connolly, Rachel Armani, Olivia Quercio, Hannah Loss and Nicole Garcia. Patty Daniels is our North Star. Our engineer is John the Claw Parker. Special thanks to Andrew Massawa and Bradley Lewis. By the way, as I mentioned, Edgar will be back on Monday. If you can't bear to wait that long, check out our brand new podcast edition of the show, of the Curiosity Desk, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Until then, I'm Jeremy Siegel. Thanks for listening to the Curiosity Desk, and stay curious out there.
What's trending? What's interesting? What's going on around town? We're talking all things arts and culture on The Culture Show, next on GBH 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And Rogers Fish Company, founded by Roger Berkowitz, offering an array of New England seafood and entrees shippable anywhere in the U.S. More at rogersfishcompany.com. Brackets, fierce competitors, buzzer beaters. That's right, I'm talking about High School Quiz Show. Play along at home and don't miss an all-new episode tomorrow at 6 on GBH2.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
Good afternoon. With the latest from the GBH Culture Show News Desk, I'm Henry Santoro. If you have all your Easter plans set and ready to go and would like to check out a film that is the perfect prelude to Easter, the Regent Theater in Arlington is showing Cecil B. DeMille's 1920. The film, showing Saturday night, the night before Easter, chronicles the life of Jesus. It features a cast of some 5,000 people. There's a giant earthquake, and for this screening, the entire film score will be performed live by the highly acclaimed silent film accompanist, Jeff Rapsis. And something massive is happening at Boston's Institute of Contemporary Art in the Seaport. So massive you'd almost think the late artist Christo came back to life. Christo, known for his large-scale, site-specific environmental installations, where he'd wrap entire buildings. Only this time, it's New York-based artist Derek Adams, who was using fabric to wrap the outside of the ICA to make it look like a giant TV with that old-fashioned color bars known as a test pattern. Remember that? It's the very first facade ICA, and inside the museum, Adams's exhibit presents over 100 works of art spanning 25 years of his craft, including never-before-seen works from his personal archive, like paintings, sculptures, collages, performances, videos, and other public projects that celebrate the richness and the complexity of everyday Black American life. The exhibit opens April 14th and runs for a year. That's this edition of the GBH News Weekly Friday Afternoon Culture Cast. I'm Henry Santoro. Next up, The Culture Show with my friend and yours, Jared Bowen, live at the Boston Public Library.
I'm Jared Bowen. Coming up on The Culture Show, 4 masked thieves, 3 minutes, more than $10 million in art gone. At a museum outside Parma, a crew slipped past a back gate, made straight for Renoir, Cézanne, and Matisse, and vanished before police could stop them. If art theft history doesn't repeat itself, it certainly rhymes. This is the latest in a nerve-rattling run of European museum raids since last fall's heist at the Louvre. From there, we remember Candelaria Silva-Collins. She helped shape Boston's cultural life by making sure Roxbury's artists, stories, and institutions were seen, supported, and taken seriously. Then the show will go on for the woman whose heart will go on
In a birthday video reveal, Celine Dion announced 10 Paris Arena shows this fall. Her first full concert run in 6 years. It's an extraordinary comeback after a prolonged illness turned the volume down on one of pop's biggest voices. And for one night, The Pit is making rounds in movie theaters. Alamo Drafthouse will screen the Season 2 finale for Healthcare Appreciation Week. It's a big screen salute to healthcare workers from a drama that has become one of TV's breakout hits. We take on all that and more right now on our Arts and Culture Week in Review.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
Welcome to the Culture Show, live from the Boston Public Library. It's streaming on the GBH News YouTube channel. I'm Jared Bowen.
I'm Callie Crossley. And I'm Lisa Simmons. Sorry
Lisa
about that,
Simmons
Jared.
Derailing us. It's not April Fool's Day anymore, Lisa Simmons. We're going over the latest arts and culture headlines in our Week in Review, starting in Italy, where in less than 3 minutes, 4 masked thieves made off with more than $10 million in prized artwork. They hit the Magnani Rocca Foundation outside Parma, stealing works by Renoir, Cézanne, and Matisse. Now Italy's art squad is reviewing surveillance and tracing the gang's quick escape. The theft comes just 5 months after the brazen Louvre heist in Paris, adding to renewed concerns that the world's museums are looking pretty vulnerable to well-organized art thieves. Well, what we learned after the Louvre heist, well, maybe what we forgot, because of course history has been rife with art theft, is that these happen all the time. Mm-hmm. It's only when it happens with $10 million worth of art being stolen or the Louvre is broken into that we begin talking about this. But small museums, small rural museums all over the world are constantly broken into. So this is yet another wake-up call that even if you have pretty great security measures in place, and people are saying that this one did because the police responded within 4 minutes, thieves are still going to be able to take what they're after.
Well, I guess what I'm thinking is, given the Louvre and the fact that they were kind of just lucky because they were kind of bumbling in the end and when we learned all the details, wouldn't everybody step it up? I mean, it's true that these people had these protective locks and stuff so that they, in fact, they're saying that it slowed the progress for these people so they couldn't get as much as they hoped to get. But I'm sorry, after something like the Louvre happens, don't you just really lock it down after that or really re-inspect your systems? Because, you know, that kind of stuff inspires other people to try it. And either, if you're a thief, I'm guessing, never been one, you either think it's all...
protest too much.
No, I'm saying you either think it's all locked down or you think, good timing, because I bet you they haven't done anything.
Right.
And I just think that's so sad.
I think it's incredible. I mean, but the thing is, too, is that this also mimics so much for me the Gardner Museum. It's a private collection, right? Although the public can be in there. But I know what you're talking about. It's like, you know, they got into this place with a crowbar. I mean, it's like, you know, not like high tech, but obviously they were talking about this is happening more and more. Thieves are getting smarter. They're able to do things within a time. They know exactly what they want. It's almost like someone said, these are the 3 paintings we want. This is what we're going to pay you to go do it. They mapped it all out. They had it planned. So there's that balance, though, right, that we talked about before, like the Louvre, between security and public openness, right? You don't want to have to put all of your paintings and artwork behind a glass wall so that people can't be near it. And so you're constantly dealing with that balance. So I think that you're right. You know, I mean, these are criminal networks. They're not lone thieves, and it just keeps happening more and more.
Well, Lisa, you just hit on something that I think a lot of people are saying is that these thieves are very organized and they do know exactly what they're doing. Look at the Louvre heist. They were wearing construction uniforms so that when it first was underway, people didn't think to look at these individuals because they thought, oh, they're supposed to be here. Clearly, again, these people knew what they were doing. I will point out there was one fourth painting, apparently, that they were in the midst of taking and probably didn't because the alarms were sounding. Police were arriving, again, within 4 minutes. One sad part of this is that experts are saying that this happened, while this happened a little while ago, we're just learning about it now, basically because the museum probably doesn't have any leads, so this is why they have to take it public. And then, Lisa, you brought it back to the Gardner Museum heist, where kind of everything old is new again, in that if you think that this is some complex Dr. No theory where you have people Tom Cruise-esque diving through the ceiling, that's not what's happening in most of these cases. It's people who are somewhat bumbling or more successful. They get what they want and they get out, and then they go on onto the black market. Speaking of the Gardner, earlier this week I spoke with Jeffrey Kelly. He's a former FBI agent who led the Gardner Museum heist investigation for 22 years. He has a new book out called 13 Perfect Fugitives, all about the heist. Here he is discussing the ways that stolen art is typically recovered.
Stolen artwork is typically recovered either right after it occurs or it's going to be generational. And somebody's going to pass away, and a family's going to be going through the attic, they're going to be going through a safe deposit box, and they're going to come upon these works that had no business being in their dad's possession.
And he was talking about that on the day that we learned that this heist had happened. So he was talking about it both in the context of the Gardner Museum paintings, which, by the way, he's given me hope that they actually will come back someday, and this new theft in Europe.
What I thought was interesting is they mentioned that this Italy has an elite art squad that collects about 100,000 stolen artifacts from all around the world each year. So maybe these pieces will come back rather quickly because of this elite squad knowing how to track it down. They don't tell us how they do it. Of
course not. But I think it's really interesting too about the Gardner that they spent 81 minutes in the Gardner.
Yes.
And they knew exactly how much time they had. I mean, that's the whole thing when we're talking about planned and we're talking about where do these too hot to handle pieces go? They go into private collections. It's in somebody's house, like you said. I found something very funny about the Gardner Museum. They were saying that they spent so much time in there, they actually went into like the drawers and ate snacks. They found snacks.
I don't remember that part of it.
Yes, and that they were feeling comfortable. That's the comfortableness they felt because it was an inside job. So there's so much that you can do to stop it, but there's so much you can't do also.
Well, I think the last thing we can say about this, we'll point out the Gardner was a heist that was more than 30 years ago.
Right.
Technology has changed, but in a way, I think we're understanding that you need the most basic technology, which is to keep somebody, as the Gardner did have, so it didn't work out. So maybe I'm a hypocrite here, but having somebody in the museum overnight. And we know that arts funding is down here in the United States and everywhere else, it seems. So that's an expense that museums are now going to have to weigh, especially because things like this, things like the climate activists targeting art, are driving up insurance prices for all these museums.
Well, but remember, the Louvre was in the middle of the day, and I think this is in the middle of the day, too.
This one was overnight.
Yes, yeah.
Well, we're not done with theft because we remain in Italy for yet another heist. But instead of masterpieces, a 12-ton chunk of chocolate has gone missing.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that KitKat bar.
A truck carrying more than 400,000 KitKat bars disappeared en route to Poland. Now Nestle is trying to unwrap the mystery before the stolen candy melts away for good. This is a really interesting case because studies have shown over the last few years more food is stolen than anything else. It's at the top of the heist market is food being stolen because it's so easy to unload. Obviously, it's very difficult to get somebody to buy a Renoir painting and not get caught, but you can certainly unload a bunch of KitKat bars.
Not so easily. Right, Lisa?
Right, exactly.
Tell it.
So, I mean, that's what I think is really interesting because we were talking about bumbling crooks, right? Was it bumbling? Are they planned? I can't imagine that these crooks knew that these had serial numbers all over them. I mean, these are, which is very rare, which is probably they're like, we're going to take these Formula One KitKat bars, we're going to send them out all over Europe, we're going to sell them in little mom and pop stores, we're going to make $1 million, this is going to be great. And now they're probably like, oh no. They all have serial numbers. So, Jared, you take it from there about what they did with the serial numbers and how they're trying to get the public.
So, Nestle, they've been pretty clever because each package has a batch number on it. And this is basically how they do recalls, too. So, if you bought some stuff at Trader Joe's recently, you've been checking the batch number so you can see if there might be fragments of glass in it. Or in this case, in Europe, they're asking people to get in on the act to find out if they have bought a KitKat bar. It's not a Wonka factory thing. You're not getting to go to the factory. But you will if you line up your batch number to the batch number of those that were stolen through a website they've set up. You can help track down these thieves and where this ultimately went.
However, now when I first heard this, I thought, well, this is really dumb because, of course, as you said, it's going to melt and it's perishable and it will go away. Well, I'm not so smart. Turns out dark chocolate can last 1.5 to 2 years and then 8.8 to 12 months for milk chocolate, white chocolate 4 to 12. So they got a while. They can just sit there with it for a long time.
But I just have no idea how they're going to fence KitKats that look like F1 cars. So I mean, it's a specific thing, and so I'm going to be very curious to follow this story to see if people find it in like little stores, because that's what they say. They say, right, like you said, art is hard to sell, candy's easy. You dump it, you bring it to it. It's like you can have a Girl Scout cookie sale outside of the Star Market with your KitKat chocolates, and no one are going to know. But in this case, I'm wondering if the thieves knew that, and if not, they're going to have to melt it all down.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If you're doing an Ocean's
wafers.
11, you could melt it down. It lasts. Hello, 1.5.
And then what are you going to do with the little wafer part?
Well, I don't know, because maybe they turn it into that Dubai chocolate kind of situation.
Where you can create one giant F1 car. People don't know what we're talking about. This is all for F1, because it turns out KitKat is now the lead sponsor. KitKat is the official bar of the
F1
F1 races. What I also think is interesting is that Nestle kind of stumbled into, we're in no way suggesting they orchestrated this, but they kind of stumbled into this PR wondrousness because everybody is talking about this, and it's not just Nestle. It's the Outback, who has introduced their KitKat Bloomin' Onion. It's Denny's, who said bad time to launch the KitKat Pancake. So all of these companies in a really good business plan are leveraging this, and I think, okay, we're not talking about stolen artwork, so maybe we can have a little fun at Nestle's expense. I don't think this is really going to hurt them, and so everybody is now getting in on the act.
I think it's great.
What you said yesterday, Lisa, I thought was very interesting about what if the KitKat bars can have a code on them, why can't the paintings?
Right.
Well, because there aren't going to be a bunch of paintings sold at a bunch of little mom and pop convenience stores all throughout Europe.
This is true.
I'm just saying, but if they had a code on them, that's a little harder to fence, is the point.
Well, you bring up another good point that I've never thought of. No, but you're bringing up something. If you put it on them, why doesn't every painting now have some sort of air tag, some sort of tracking device?
Some sort of tracking. Now that you have that technology to do that, you're absolutely right. I don't know. Maybe more to come. We're going to find out who ate these KitKats or where they are.
Or we can go to Europe and investigate ourselves.
I think we need
to. That sounds like
to.
a very good plan.
Somebody's in a garage really getting fat right now.
Oh, by the way, the truck has also disappeared. They haven't found that either. So that's presumably the easier thing to find. Who knows?
Let's hope it's on a bucket truck from the
refrigerated or something.
Well, on to another candy-coated crime, skimping on chocolate. Brad Reese, grandson of H.B. Reese, who invented the Reese's peanut butter cup, has called out Hershey for cutting some corners, saying it's changed the formulas for a complement of candy bars, making them with cheaper coatings and alternatives. In other words, not actual chocolate and peanut butter. After he blasted the Valentine's Day Reese's Mini Heart as quote-unquote not edible, Hershey said it will restore classic recipes across the line in 2027, including a return to actual milk and dark chocolate. So the man who knows this best, the grandson, here's what Brad Reese had to say, speaking to ABC News in February about Hershey's response to this backlash against changes to the recipe.
I think they're trying to get control of the narrative. It's not what they just said, it's what they didn't say, it's what they omitted. For example, the Reese's regular peanut butter cups, the classic original that are sold in England and Europe, are manufactured in Mexico. And in England and Europe, the packaging does not say milk chocolate on the front because Hershey can't say that because it can't qualify for milk chocolate. So they're labeling it as milk chocolate flavored coating. And then the inside of the peanut butter, they're calling it peanut butter cream center.
I feel like we did talk about this on the Culture Show not too long ago, that people haven't necessarily paid attention to the fact that we do have this labeling law in our country as well, although it can be, they kind of get around it with chocolatey or chocolate-ish coating when it's not really. Hershey had pushed back, and now they realized the tide was turning way against them, because when the young Mr. Reese went out and started talking about this, a lot of people glommed onto it, and this forced Hershey into going back to to the original recipe and ingredients.
You know what? He didn't have to say anything. He could just collect his check and wait for his KitKat bars to come back through. And I just appreciate the fact that he was like, that my grandfather started this. This is important. If you're going to do it, then tell people what you've done. But don't try to pass it off as the product that we had and that we have built our reputation on. I appreciate that.
I do too. And I just embarrassed to say that I did not know that Reese's was named after a person. But I mean, the fact that they're going back to real milk chocolate and real peanut butter, yay. I mean, I think we find this in all foods, right? And there needs to be this cost-cutting effect, and the cost of cocoa is going through the roof. And I understand that people are doing this, and all sorts of additives are being put in, but they don't taste the same. They really don't, and I think they probably have lost people in that. And so, yes, great for him sticking up for this. I think it's sort of like, you can't call something chocolate if like they have labels, just like KFC couldn't call KFC Kentucky Fried Chicken anymore. That's a whole nother story. But it is going to change the price. It's going to go up. It's going to go up from like 52.52 cents to 70 cents because they're going to have to start using those real ingredients. But they also decided that they're going to transition to natural colors. They're doing new R&D investment. So I think it's great that he said that. I think other people need to look at the product that they're putting out there, especially with all the things that are going on in the environment, that this is a really positive, great story. And I'm glad that he said something. And they're going to change the creaminess in KitKats.
If they ever get them back.
If they ever get them back.
One of the things that consumers really appreciate is authenticity. And so in 2027, when they return to the product that, the reputation is built on, I think they can gain back a lot of what they may have lost with people saying, really, you tried to fool me and I don't appreciate it.
Well, it's also, I think it's two things in here. I think this is really what change can happen when enough people come together, because their stock prices dipped and Hershey did react. They're going to put on all this research and development and it will go back. And I think there are just certain things, we've been on this nostalgia wave for a while, as we keep talking about on this show. And I think that this is part of it, that people just can't abide by everything being so diluted and so oversaturated, all at the expense of dollars. And frankly, Hershey can't really rely on the high prices of cocoa at this point, because that's coming down worldwide, which could also be another reason why they capitulated. But it's hard to go up against a man with the last name Reese.
Yes.
Well, coming up, her heart, not to mention voice, still goes on. The diva is back. Celine Dion will return to performing live after illness forced her off stage. That and more is next on The Culture Show. Stay with us.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
I'm Arun Roth. Today on GBH's All Things Considered, the Red Sox are back in Boston for their home opener. We'll go inside Fenway Park as the Sox try to improve their 1-5 record. And at St. Peter's School in Cambridge, students are turning service into something you can see and hear as they pass parcels down the line for neighbors in need. This week's Joy Beat and all the day's news starting at 4 on GBH 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And the Office of the Massachusetts State Treasurer. The Unclaimed Property Division is holding unclaimed funds. New properties are added often. To see if you have unclaimed money, you can visit findmassmoney.gov.
And Newport Mansions, presenting a new exhibit, Full Circle. Richard Fleischner with David Smith, Christo, Klaus Oldenburg, Barnett Newman, and other Monumenta artists. Now through May 3rd at Rosecliff, newportmansions.org. And the Lyric Stage, presenting Angry, Raucous, and Shamelessly Gorgeous by Pearl Clegg, a comedy with wit, heart, and soul. Now through April 12th at Lyric Stage Boston. Tickets at lyricstage.com.
Local stories, live radio, and breaking news at your fingertips. Download the new GBH News app on the App Store or Google Play.
Welcome back to The Culture Show. I'm Jared Bowen, live from our GBH studio at the Boston Public Library. I'm joined by co-hosts Callie Crossley and Culture Show contributor Lisa Simmons. She's the artistic and executive director of the Roxbury International Film Festival and program manager at Mass Cultural Council. If you're just tuning in, it's our Arts and Culture Week in Review, which includes remembering Candelaria Silva-Collins, who has died at age 71. As the first director of ACT Roxbury, she helped turn arts organizing into lasting cultural infrastructure. She was the force behind building Roxbury Open Studios. She shaped the early Roxbury Film Festival and led the charge in the transformation of Hibernian Hall into an art center. She was a steady presence behind the scenes and a lasting force in the city's arts community. Lasting, I think, is an understatement there. If you look at the full spectrum of her legacy in working with libraries and in film and in the performing arts, I think about Hibernian Hall, which is such a nexus for the arts in Roxbury now, for all manner of arts presentation, performances. It is such a hub for that community, and that's just one of many things she did. I know you both can speak very deliberately to what all she created.
Yeah, I have to say I was stunned to learn of her passing, because, you know, she's one of those people you just assume is always going to be here and have a presence in town. There are very few people who can be in a community and about what they leave behind that is there for all to see or be felt, because her cultural influence still goes on. So I think my first interaction with her was when she was with ACT Roxbury, and I'm telling you, not a more enthusiastic, all about it person was she. She lived, breathed arts. She felt that arts should be an economic driver for the artists, and that the appreciation should happen, yes, for all of us who enjoy it, but the artists too should be recognized and held up. And she was representing Roxbury, which she felt was not getting its due in terms of understanding the talent, the deep richness of the talent in that community. So there was not a time that I went somewhere just out and, you know, we weren't planning to see, and she'd be there, and the people that would gather around her, she was like a little hub, because people knew how enthusiastic she was. She pivoted in many ways during the kind of work that she was doing, including loving writing, and at the end was writing children's books that received a great amount of attention. So this is a huge loss to this city. We should note that those of us at GBH, her husband, Tessel Collins, worked at GBH for a long time with Eric in the evening and Al Davis and those guys on the jazz program. So there was just, they were just an arts couple. But I am stunned, but I'm so pleased that she left her mark and that she's being remembered as the great influencer that she was.
Yeah. It is shocking. I remember when I found out when she wasn't well, and then got the call. And, we started Rox Film together, Color Film and ACT Roxbury. And so spent many, many, many years doing just that, helping filmmakers find their voice and bringing them visibility, and really shaped that through ACT Roxbury. Candelaria was such a private person. She was really always, she wasn't an introvert, so the things that she did quietly, and it wasn't all this big hubbub. She just made it happen. And so, like with Danette Jones, I think Danette was with ACT Roxbury, but it was really focused on trade. When Candelaria came on, it was really about arts, and that's really where we started to see her impact. She started the Roxbury Literary Annual, which was this incredible book for writers to be heard, for youth to be heard. There was a whole youth edition for that. There was the open studios that she started for Roxbury artists. There was the film festival. There was the Athenaeum Trust Fund that she would give money out to Roxbury residents. She was in every space, mentoring, supporting community folks, really being there if you needed someone to talk to about, trying to get through everyday, organizations, and you're like the only Black person in that organization, and she was just there to support artists. And so it's a huge loss. I love that she went back to writing. Writing was her first love. And all those children's books are based on her, inspired by her grandchildren. They had just moved to Charlotte to be closer to her grandkids. And so it was shocking. It is a huge loss. Anything else, it's like this perseverance, and it's this like, just do it, just get out there. You see a need in the community, make sure that you're reaching that need, because it will outlast you, and your legacy and her legacy is here and will always be here with the work. She has generations of people. We did theater together. We did and Bullen's play together. You know what I mean? I'm like, and we raised these theater folks, and I just feel so proud to have been in her orbit and have learned from her and worked with her. And had been a collaborator with her.
I just want to note that Arts Emerson did a tribute to her and said, referred people to her blog, Good and Plenty.
Good and Plenty, yeah.
And said people should really get a sense of what she wrote there, and would be inspired by it. And she also spent 8 years coordinating the Creative Entrepreneur Fellowships awarded by the Arts and Business Council of Greater Boston. And those fellows are heartbroken because she was, such a mentor to them.
I was also struck to learn what she did with the Huntington Theater, too, is being with the Huntington and saying, help me help you bring more audiences into your theater, you being at the neighboring community to Roxbury, and here's how I can help. So she was so expansive in how she looked at turning the arts into an economic engine for a community and making sure that the community could be so represented and feel welcome in so many spaces, and not only feel welcome but welcome others into spaces, because now as of 2017 Roxbury is a cultural district as designated by Massachusetts. People trace that to her doing as well.
Yep. I mean, it's she made her mark, and I'm so glad we're recognizing it.
Well, again, especially with Tessel being a colleague, our thoughts go out to their family. Well, next, the show will go on because with a 10-show engagement in Paris. It's her first full concert run in 6 years, and since being diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, which forced her to step away from the spotlight. She announced her comeback on Instagram earlier this week. We'll try to get that. We'll take a beat and we'll get that announcement from Celine Dion on her.
I want to let you know that I'm doing great. Managing my health. I'm feeling good. I'm singing again, even doing a little bit of dancing, obviously, I love it so much. Over these last few years, every day that's gone by, I felt your prayers and support, your kindness and love. Even in my most difficult times, you were there for me.
I think anybody who saw
I'm getting the chance to you to perform for you once again in Paris.
So I think anybody who saw her documentary, I Am Celine, in which she was incredibly open, it seems, in bringing cameras into her life as she was diagnosed with this stiff person syndrome, which is a neurological disease that ravages your muscles, your brain. It looked incredibly painful to see what she was going through, and you watch that documentary and you just had this sense that we would likely never see her on stage again. And then we did see her perform for the opening of the Summer Olympics ceremony in Paris a couple of years ago. So this really is an extraordinary comeback. And just listen to this song, My Heart Will Go On, that we played coming into this segment. That voice, it was such... That's what made that documentary even more painful, to know that the world could be robbed of that voice. It was so upsetting. So this is an extraordinary story.
And the disease, now, as you said, takes over her body, including the vocal cords. So she was being struck in a way. I mean, I thought about Julie Andrews. That's your gift, and you can't express it. I'm excited because we haven't seen her well or looking well during the years, the worst years of that disease. When we had photos of her, she looked really sickly, very almost like a scarecrow. She was so thin. And so to see her with a fuller face, smiling, looking forward to it, and prepared to do the songs. She was kind of self-deprecating always, so I always enjoyed her humor as well. I mean, she knows people make fun of her and stuff, so right. I always enjoyed that, and it feels like we're going to get that Celine Dion back. So what can you say? She's quite talented.
I mean, I think it's pretty extraordinary to go through something like this, and then really you can just think about the work that it's taking her to get to this place, not just vocally like you said, but physically, to be on stage for 10 concerts. Everyone is just and apparently there's huge demand. They believe that she's going to release new music. They say it's the most anticipated event that's going to happen this year. And she is pretty amazing. And one of the things I found out about her too is that she memorizes her lyrics. She doesn't use a teleprompter. So it's not only, it's stamina, right? Yeah. It's her voice, it's her being up on stage, and then the stamina to have to memorize for 10 shows because that's how she sings. So she verbally keeps doing them over and over again. So I think it's incredible. I think it's perseverance. I think it's resilience. And I'm just excited, like you said, Jared, that she's back and that we'll be able to hear that voice.
We should tell people if you're trying to get in line for your tickets. They're about to go on sale next week. The concerts will start September 12th. They'll wrap up on October 14th. So it's 10 concerts over that span in this one 40,000-seat venue in France, where she'll basically have this residency. And Lisa, you just brought me back to another part of that documentary, which is so compelling, is it gave us the understanding of how central music has always been to her life, and it's the core of who she is. And it was like taking a limb from her to not be able to perform, not to be able to sing, not to have that relationship with audiences. And yes, she is kind of an awkward, funny person, and she leans into that.
She leans into
so much so that she will probably be very excited, or has been very excited, about Titanic.
Oh my goodness.
Which is also a great story about Celine Dion. But this is a new musical. No, it's not a new musical. It's an old musical that started in a supermarket basement in Manhattan.
I love it.
Then went to off-Broadway, then went around the world, went to the West End where it won an Olivier Award, and then finally is coming back to New York and is about to open on Broadway. And it's a whole parody of Celine Dion with her music, basically with the premise, what if Celine Dion also claimed to be a survivor of the Titanic? And Jim Parsons has signed on to the cast, so this is a big opening. And yes, it's farcical, but its creators also call it a Celine Dion fever dream. And it's making fun of her, but also with a whole tidal wave of love.
Love for her, right. And it's campy and it's fun, and I'm sure with her sense of humor too, she's probably would love this.
Well, I love a jukebox musical, and that's what it is. And I would have to say that if she, for some reason, forgot her lyrics, she can do what all the singers do now: point the microphone, and we can all sing with her. So we know those lyrics.
But we know the cautionary tale, because I think we talked about this on the show too. Don't be Justin Timberlake about it. You can't do that for every lyric, as he did in his last concert. Well, I'm very excited because I'm going to be there for the opening weekend of Titanic in New York to see that show. It should be a lot of fun. Well, coming up, Peaky Blinders is the latest TV show to make the jump from streaming to movie theaters. The new series film The Immortal Man is showing how streamers are turning hit properties into big screen events. That and more on The Culture Show. Stay with us.
As homelessness increases in cities across the country, more and more people are staying at airports to avoid having to sleep on the street.
It's open 24 hours. There's food, there's shelter.
I'm Scott Detrow. We'll hear from an outreach team in San Francisco working to provide shelter and services. On All Things Considered from NPR News.
This afternoon at 3, here on GBH News 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Mass General Brigham Health Plan, providing helpful digital tools, world-class providers, and coverage that help you live in the moment. More at massgeneralbrighamhealthplan.org. And Framingham State University, where the strength of a Commonwealth begins with access to opportunity. At FSU, students examine evidence and serve the public good. Framingham State University. Live to the truth. Learn more at framingham.edu. And Newbury Court, serving Concord, Massachusetts for 30 years as a not-for-profit continuing care retirement community dedicated to older adults. More at newburycourt.org.
GBH Daily is a newsletter that keeps you informed, connected, and ready to go every weekday morning. You can subscribe today and get it in your inbox at gbh.org/daily.
I'm Jared Bowen. If you're just tuning in, it's our Arts and Culture Week in Review. I'm joined by co-hosts Callie Crossley and Culture Show contributor Lisa Simmons. We're going over the latest headlines, including the new stream-to-screen pipeline, as hit series like Peaky Blinders, The Mandalorian, and K-pop Demon Hunters make the jump to the big screen. It's a strategy that allows streamers to build hype, extend franchises, and squeeze more value from shows that already have loyal fans. Like Peaky Blinders, here's a bit from the trailer, The Immortal Man, starring Cillian Murphy.
Your gypsy son is running the Peaky Blinders like it's 1919 all over again.
I can't help him, because I'm not that man anymore. I need to know that you are willing to take part in an act of treason that will decide this war for Germany.
I've heard you decided this wasn't your war. It is now. I'm looking for your son.
Everybody stay calm, because this man, ladies and gentlemen, is Tommy Shelby.
Yes, he's back after a long absence from Netflix, and they have looked around at what's happened with other events that have happened in the movie theater. I think Taylor Swift is a big example of that, and thought there is opportunity here, and it seems to be working in a really great way for the streamers.
Absolutely. You know, I have to just begin by saying there was a time where if you compared, even in a sentence, television and film, particularly actors, people were appalled and disgusted. No, I don't do TV, or I don't do, I'm a TV, whatever. And so it's fascinating to me to see all of this coming together now in a way that, frankly, benefits the audience.
Yes.
You know what I mean? For once, because those of us who get to love these characters on TV and then have another opportunity because we have loved them and given them the support that makes the business people say, there could be an opportunity in making a film. Now, in the words of Cillian Murphy, please have a good film, because if you do a bad film after coming off a really excellent TV series, you sort of messed up the franchise for everybody. But I think this is going to be part and parcel of the way it goes now in the future. And of course, we could use anything to get people back in the theaters now.
Well, thank you for that perfect setup, Callie. In the words of Cillian Murphy, we have more words from Cillian Murphy when I spoke with him on the Culture Show while he was in production on this film, and here's what he had to say about returning to the role of Tommy Shelby.
We've been making that show since 2012, so it's a long chunk of my life, and I've aged alongside that character, which is a bizarre experience for an actor to actually, get older as the character gets older. It feels very familiar but very different to be back making the film, but very satisfying. I really feel like if you're going to make a film of a TV show, you got to do it well, and I feel like we've got a great script and a great cast and a great director, so I'm really thrilled to be back doing it.
So before we get to you, Lisa, he's also recognizing that this is a very singular moment, and that yes, while this series was built at home with people watching on streaming, there's enough value that people actually want to come together for it, that people want to gather and commune and congregate around a reunion like this film presents.
I mean, I think it's obviously very smart. I mean, it's risk averse, right? The stream, they've already built an audience. That's what you want. They know that people are going to come, and the generations have changed. People go to movies for events now, and then we have a whole new generation, a generational shift in Hollywood that understands this, right? And so they want to be seen. They don't want to be fear of missing out. They watch these shows, amongst themselves and with each other and sharing it over their phones. But if they can come together in one space and have the fanfare and have the theater have popcorn cups and stuff like that, it makes it really an incredibly an exciting event. So the theaters are benefiting. Obviously they're not driving it, but they're like, sure, bring it on, because anything you can do to bring people into the theater. I just think it's also interesting too, it's not just TV going to movies, it's also movies becoming shows. So you have Batman, right, that has now a spin-off with the Penguin. You've got Harry Potter that now has a spin-off on HBO. You've got Cape Fear that's now going to be starring Rachel McAdams. And I think it's really interesting, like what you said before, Callie. It used to be that Hollywood actors would be like, I'm not going to do this. And now streaming changed that. They have more, the fans are seeing them more, they're getting more playtime, they're getting more opportunity to act because they're getting this opportunity to be in these shows. And you see someone like Meryl Streep who's on Only Murders in the Building. I mean, this is a major shift in Hollywood. And I think that people are riding it, and I think that you're right. It's also for the fans and the audience.
And it's so much about the fandom, because I'll be very candid. Fandom. I messed up when I didn't get to the theater to see one battle after another. And when I finally watched it by myself at home, I didn't think very much of the film. And it wasn't until I heard all these descriptions about how funny it is and how much they laughed and the great humor bent on it that I thought I missed the entire tone, because I went into this, I typically don't read anything before I've seen it, so as not to inform my opinion. Had I known that it was more of a dark comedy than anything else, had the audience cued me in by laughing alongside me, I would have had a very different perspective on that film. But I messed that up by not seeing with an audience. And I think to some degree that's what we've been missing and not going to the theaters as we've been sitting at home watching more movies. And what Gen Z apparently is figuring out is get thee back to the theater.
The communal experience, I can't underscore that enough. And if you are fans of the series already, so with One Battle After Another, nobody had seen that before. That was a brand new thing. Yeah. So we all come to have the communal experience, and then, you would get the vibe from there. But to come into a theater where everybody knows all the characters, that is so fun. This is why all those podcasts that go over old series, I can listen to that forever, all my favorites. So it's a really immersive experience, but you don't have to explain anything. You can just turn to your seat partner or anybody else and say, I can't believe Joe did that. Me either. I thought I wrote it wrong.
I know, and they know the jokes.
To it.
Right, and they know that you're absolutely right. Exactly. They know the characters are already emotionally invested in it, and you're sitting next to someone who has that same, and you're laughing at the same jokes because you get them
all
and the same
Easter
characters,
eggs.
and you're like, what? Right, exactly. So it becomes this whole event, and that's what this next generations want.
And I was
part of an
thinking
event.
back that to Sex and the City, actually.
Yes.
That
Right.
was one of the earlier transitions from TV, or well, it was cable, to film, but it did very well for that reason.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What I think is crazy, one more thing, is that movies used to be in theaters for 90 days. 90 days is when movies used to be in theaters for. Now they're in there for between 17 and 45 at
Oh, that's so interesting.
Right, hardly ever happens anymore. And that's what we're going to see, and we're going to see even shorter times. But they'll be in theaters.
Well, speaking of, we'll stay in the multiplex right now because The Pit will screen its season finale at Alamo Drafthouse all around the country. There are cinemas all around the country, including here in Boston, on April 13th. That's days before the finale appears on HBO, turning a hospital drama into a one-night event for Healthcare Appreciation Week. This is really lovely because there has been a lot of conversation about how great The Pit is because it gets it right. There have been so many medical professionals who've weighed in and saying they're capturing everything that we're experiencing in hospitals right now, from long lines and waiting rooms to people not being able to afford and skimping on medication for that reason, to the violence that's happening to Medicare workers, medical workers. And so here we have this event that will be free, by the way, especially for healthcare professionals. You can reserve seats with a $10 food and drink voucher, but this is a great way to do exactly what Callie just said, to come together for a show that everybody seems to be gathering around and watch the finale together.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be great. And Alamo, the way that they have structured their theater really supports a communal experience.
I mean, I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm surprised they didn't do this with Bridgerton.
Interesting.
Well, Netflix is somebody has to show up in the office on Monday morning. Why didn't you think of this?
Right. No, I mean, but
it's
still the same thing, right? They're treating it as a cinematic event, and it is a cinematic event, and it's going to be incredible. I mean, that show is incredible. I mean, you do talk to healthcare workers. I think it's launched so many careers. It relaunched Noah Wiley's career, and these are shows that are really, they actually are built to do this, to bring on, sort of like mid-career actors, to give them that other chance again. And the writing is incredible. And did you know that Brad Pitt, his company, is one of the producers on The Pit?
I didn't know that.
Well, it's from Pitt.
But that's not why it's called.
That's not why it's called The Pit. But I was like, this is amazing. It's television and movies, actors, and so I think it's interesting.
Did you also know that Noah Wiley's mother works in the medical profession, and so she is somebody who always told her own son, "Yes, you got it right in this show." And in fact, I remember seeing something on CBS not too long ago where she also talked about there were, especially last season with the emergency situation they had with the bombing and the sudden influx of trauma patients they had. It was something that was very difficult for her to watch. So really smart. Well, speaking of the medical drama, it's The Pit for actor Jeffrey Owens. He's appearing on the series in the role of Dr. Clay Barrett, a cardiothoracic surgeon. Fans remember him chiefly for playing Elvin, who married into the Huxtable family on The Cosby Show. And this comes 8 years after he was publicly shamed for working at a Trader Joe's, a viral episode that exposed how even recognizable actors can find themselves with little financial security. If people don't remember, that was horrible. A number of years ago, he was working at well after Cosby Show. He was working at a Trader Joe's. Somebody recognized him, began taking pictures of him. He saw that he was being photographed, so he actually left the job because he didn't want that kind of scrutiny to happen. And then it turned into this shaming. How could somebody who is in an acclaimed sitcom go from the acclaimed sitcom to working in a Trader Joe's, as if it's a reason to deride somebody? So here he is speaking out against this job shaming in a 2018 interview with Time magazine.
The fact that I, as the guy from The Cosby Show, was shamed about working at Trader Joe's, that story is going to move on. That's going to pass, you know? But what I hope doesn't pass is this new recognition now, this current sensitivity that people are feeling about work and about people working. I hope what continues to resonate is the idea that one job is not better than another, and that we reevaluate that whole idea and we start just honoring the dignity of work and respecting the dignity of the working person.
And in very lovely gestures, because people, if you don't have a number of projects, people kind of forget about you. That happens in any industry, but this brought him back to the fore, including, as we mentioned, the reason we're talking about this, because we'll get to see him in the pit shortly.
Yes, as a cardiothoracic surgeon. I just love it that he, first of all, I love it that he would not allow himself to be shamed and said, hey, I needed work, and, you know, this is the deal. And I wasn't Bill Cosby on the show, you know, I'm meaning in terms of making that kind of money or getting those residuals. I was just a working actor.
Well, in fact, Bill Cosby heard him because when all of the sexual abuse allegations were levied at Bill Cosby, the Cosby Show was pulled off the air in syndication for a while, and for the small amount of residuals that he was getting, those disappeared.
Yeah, wow, that's really interesting. I mean, I think that, you know, he represented that positive black professional role model on the Cosby Show, and then he got stereotyped for it or typecast for it, right? And then that was like 2013 was Trader Joe's, and you're absolutely right. It's like, you know, I have to work, I have to live, I have to make a living, and why is that a bad thing? Not, you know, this happens to a large number of child actors or actors that are here. So, you know, I think it's really interesting, though, that Trader Joe's story didn't directly, like, get him the job at the pit, actually, but it did raise the visibility, right? It raised his visibility. Casting directors were like, oh, I totally forgot about him. Oh, my gosh, he was really good in the Cosby Show. He has that temperament that he needs for the pit. So, you know, I mean, I love that fact. It was a hard time for him. It was a hard story that came out about him, but it did help people understand and realize that he is still there and he is still a viable actor. So I'm glad we get to see him in that.
Well, if you need a little reminder, by the way, who he was, because I will say, let me just say this going into it, I never liked his character. Here's a little bit from The Cosby Show when Sandra Huxtable and her husband Elvin, played by Jeffrey Owens, guilt-tripped the Huxtables into letting them move into their house.
Mom and Dad, ordinarily we would have stayed with friends if they would have had room for us.
Or, you know, we can stay at that cheap motel in the city with your grandchildren.
Mom and Dad, might we take a cup of coffee with us that Elvin and I could share in the motel room?
Perhaps we could have a glass of water, liquids for the children.
And might we take that box of uneaten crackers for your grandchildren?
That's a good idea, honey. We'll eat it in the car on the way to the motel.
So that's a funny scene, but if you remember, his character clashed with Mrs. Huxtable, Alicia Rashad, and so I'm now realizing, I was a kid when I watched it, so that's carried through, so that's why I have that impression. And I wonder if that psychosis carries through too, that psychology, that here's a character that we didn't like, who did, of course, evolve.
Yes.
He was schooled by Mrs. Huxtable about his values, which were kind of questionable in that show, especially as it related to women and family. And did that carry through too? And is this why people found a little bit of glee that the actual actor behind that less than savory character was working at a Trader Joe's?
I'm sure that had something to do with it, but it is TV, folks.
Yeah.
It's a character.
But people can't separate.
It's a character.
Yeah.
I know. They can't.
They really can't.
All right, well, it's time for our week in preview with a roundup of our recommendations for upcoming arts and culture happenings. Lisa, what are you looking forward to this week?
This week it is Comics and Color Festival. There's artists, cosplay, panels, vendors. It's the New England's only comic art art festival focused on stories by and about people of color. It was started by Kagan Lewis and Barrington Edwards. It is amazing. It started in 2013 when they came together and saw that there was this book fair like this in New York, and they're like, why don't we have this in Boston? Again, like a Candelaria and others who are like, it's not here, let's create it, let's make it. It is huge now. It's happening tomorrow. Tonight is the opening night panel. Tomorrow is all day from 10 to 5. There's going to be a film festival screening series there. It's at the Reggie Lewis. So come on down. They have guest speakers. They have comics selling their comic books and their animation. And it's a really beautiful event for the whole entire family.
Oh, that's a great.
And great to be happy. Callie, what's yours?
Well, I have another family event, the Eggstravaganza. So Meet Boston, as you know, that's the organization that highlights interesting things in Boston, that highlight Boston, really. And so this is Easter weekend. And on Saturday from 11 to 1 p.m. for $10 per family, so even if you have 18 people in your family, you can get in for $10. There's an Easter bunny and an Easter egg hunt. And, you know, these are always great for the kids who enjoy doing that out. And I thought, and it's a high place, so it'll be a high street place. It'll be a lovely setting for it and a lot of fun, you know, if you have kids and do all that. I don't have any kids, but I think I picked this out because I thought it was family friendly.
And they're using real chocolate for the eggs.
Yes, they are.
They're not using those Reese eggs.
Yes, they are.
Well, the thing I have to point people toward is The Outsiders, which is being staged right now at the Citizens Opera House via Broadway in Boston. This is on through April 12th. And the reason I'm really suggesting this show, which is a Tony Award winner for Best Musical, is because it's, in my estimation, a really brilliant adaptation of this story that so many generations have now lived with. Of course, it's the book written in the 1960s by S.E. Hinton that became the film, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, and a whole bunch of young actors like Tom Cruise, Matt Dillon, who of course went on to define Hollywood and heartthrob. But it's about the outsiders, this really centered around Pony Boy and his two brothers growing up on literally the wrong side of the tracks and trying to raise themselves in these circumstances with the untimely deaths of their parents, and how they have this clash with people on the socials on the other side of the tracks, and what that means for a young boy growing up who identifies with Pip from Great Expectations and does see Great Expectations for himself and wants to be literate and be able to write and to be able to be a solid community member. When it's put on stage as a musical, it's visceral, it's physical, it's raw, it's all things that you don't necessarily see on stage in the way this is presented, all the way down to the rumble that happens. That's the big climax of the film, and I will leave it at that and try not to say much more than this is staged in a really big and very significant way. So if you have the chance, go see The Outsiders this weekend. It's a very significant show. So Callie, what's coming up on Under the Radar this weekend?
We're doing an encore of a segment we did last year at this time for Easter specifically. It's about Black African-American Catholics and their quest to get the Saintly Six canonized. These are African-Americans. There's never been an African-American saint in the group. As you know, under Pope Leo, the new Pope, 2 people have been canonized, one of them quite young, and he's American. So the hope is that this time the quest, he'll take a harder, better look at their quest to get this happen. And we're talking about Black Catholicism in general across the country. Also, this is really interesting. The I Have a Dream Youth Choral Showcase is the second part of our show. So there are 3 local choirs have come together for this performance of poems by Langston Hughes and Phyllis Wheatley. Each of the choirs will sing individually on the program the poem by Langston Hughes, and then they will come together for a specially commissioned piece on the piece poems by Phyllis Wheatley. They've never performed together, all 3 of them together. The voices are incredible, and so it's really going to be a beautiful event. It's at Roxbury Community College, the Media Center, and folks should look forward to it. Oh God, now it's coming right up.
We'll get
April 11th.
We'll get that.
April 11th.
That sounds incredible.
Yes, it's really good. So look
Thank you for that. Well, that is all for this edition of The Culture Show. A reminder that our next Wednesday watch party is April 22nd. That's when we will revisit, that is, when Harry met Sally. We'll meet them meeting each other. So tune in and call in that day, watch the film before April 22nd to be part of that show and tell us what you think of the film, their meeting, does it still hold up? Then Monday on the show, we have Elaine Sciolino. She is the former New York Times Paris bureau chief. We were talking about the Louvre heist a little bit earlier in the show. We'll talk to her about that and other issues happening in and around Paris as she lives there and continues to document arts and culture there. We'll meet Matt Doyle, the Broadway star who's coming to town for When Playwrights Kill, which is playing at the Huntington Theater. If I were to guess, I would say this is going to be a Broadway-bound play, so tune in, hear about that, and get there before you have to go see it in New York. And then Adam Rapp will be talking about what I was just talking about, The Outsiders. He is somebody who grew up in similar circumstances, and so when he wrote the book for this musical, he was kind of pulling from his own life, so we'll talk to him about that. That is all for the show. Have a wonderful chocolate-coated Easter and art-filled weekend. I'm Jared Bowen. Bye-bye.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
Where's Mary? Where is she? Where is she? She's just about to close up the library!
GBH's All Things Considered is coming up this afternoon at 4, with Marketplace at 6:30. But first, get a global view of the news with The World. Up next, here on GBH 89.7.
Support for our programs comes from you.
And Rockland Trust Bank, committed to helping individuals and local businesses work towards their financial goals by providing financial advice and resources. More at rocklandtrust.com. Rockland Trust Bank, where each relationship matters. Member FDIC. Get a rare behind-the-scenes look of the Graham Company through the dancers who embody her work. Martha Graham Dance Company. We Are Our Time. Continues tonight at 9 on GBH2.
As a GBH member, you can access the full array of PBS programs available online with GBH Passport. It's a library packed with acclaimed PBS arts, history, science, and lifestyle programs. Stream early releases of new series before they premiere, or catch up on your old favorites. Watch anytime, anywhere, right from your TV, smartphone, laptop, or tablet. If you're already a member, register online today, or become a member and sign up at gbh.org/passport.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org.